Jake Rogers, Rake Rogers.
Boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports.
There we go.
With Jeff and Boone. It's Thursday.
With Vinny and Boone.
Yeah, I shaved my head a little bit. Well, you know what? It was kind of spontaneous. I don't know. I just was like, you know what? One less thing I have to worry about.
There's a rumor that you have a receding hairline. Is this true?
No. I got good genes. I got good genes.
All right. Where do you get your jeans from?
Well, I mean,
like Bucko, Hollister.
Okay, here we go. All right,
Old Navy.
I'm okay. All right, I'm done with the hair for a little bit. It'll grow back. So
shout out Spencer. I told Jeff. I said Jeff called me today and said, by the way, just so you know, I shaved my head. Said this guy can't decide what he wants. In a week, he's gonna be like, boys, I need to grow my hair back out.
No, the only guy I trust doing it is Spencer. He does.
Spencer, I think I need to go see him this weekend, man.
He's the absolute goat. I love that, man. All right. Lucas is going to join in a second. He's dealing with some internet issues, but plenty to get to. The Tigers are live right now. They're playing. So if you're watching us and the Tigers, credit to you. As you should.
Say this. Feels good, Jeff. Klotz has internet issues. It's been a while since we've had that. There we go, huh? Feels like we're back to normal again, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's battling right now. He got a new camera, like a new webcam. So he's trying to figure this thing out. Let's see. Oh,
Tigers just scored.
He's still
I mean, we've seen Lucas with
I'm fighting
10 different settings. Hold on, let's see. How's this look? Yeah, it's a little tough.
You're all right.
Is it blurry?
No,
you look
no, dude, you're perfectly
No,
fine.
I need to actually know. Like, it's my first time using this camera. I don't.
No, you look fine.
Now you look good. Yeah, for a second, it looks like it just.
My background will be blurred, Boone. I just need to make sure I'm not.
You look good now. You look clear, dude. On my end, you look very clear. Tigers 1-1 scored.
Yeah, Tigers.
It's polar opposite sides of the spectrum. But how we doing, boys?
I mean, how are you doing? The man went on IR in the middle of the game.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what the fuck happened. I think it was either allergies and they just got put off and smacked me all at once, or allergic reaction. But I'm feeling good. Had a good lift before. It's all out of me. Got the toxins out. Feeling better, boys.
There you go. Love that. I see Michigan owns Ohio State. Says no hair flow. Jeff negative Poon.
Poon's such a great word.
Yeah, that's
one of my favorite words of all time.
It's an incredible word. It really is. But we have plenty to get to today, man. We're going to get into our top 5 off seasons, and you're going to see if the Lions are in our top 5. We talked about the Lions yesterday, what we thought of the off season, so we had a chance to talk about them. But today we're ranking top NFL off seasons. We're doing it, and I am fired up about it because it's going to be a good convo. It's like, I wouldn't say it's completely subjective, but there are some nuance. Like you could argue some things depending how you value it. It'll be a good convo though. It will. And then Lucas, you're breaking down a guy today.
I do. It's not what I last week.
This one,
with Ariante Ursi, I loved him. I would say between Ursi and Jordan Birch, those are my two favorite. Not as high on this guy, but this is somebody that I think the Lions could definitely have their eyes on. Wouldn't be mad at all if they brought him to Detroit. Haven't heard much noise about him.
Can I ask you a question?
You can absolutely.
How do you go about finding guys?
Depends. I usually just go down.
Wait.
Okay, so my process
Sorry,
is this. This is I look. You want to know who I look at first? If I'm looking for offensive or defensive lineman, I go to Instagram and I look up Jared Valdir, former Patriots offensive lineman. He's like an O-line coach. See who he's looking at. But then usually, like, I'll just do like PFF mock drafts, and I'll just like see this guy, watch tape.
It's interesting. I think I'm gonna do something for you, Klotz. I was telling Jeff earlier today because I think it would be incredible. I think I'm gonna get a Google Doc, and I'm going to write down every single player that you give us like that, like when you do these over the next few years, whenever it is. And I would like to see over the next like 10 years, and not really even just your hit rate, but I want to I might do an Excel sheet to where like year by year, like put like how this player's doing and see how many all pros, pro bowlers. Like you could either go like 12 for 15, and it's like this guy Klotzy's finding dudes. We need to get him in the front office. Like I'm no longer we're not paying you crunch time no more, brother. You're going to the Lions front office. We need you there.
Boom.
Or you could go 1 for 15, and we're like, all right, Klotzy, we got to switch it up
boom.
here. We got to get a new ball.
You don't think I already started that myself in private?
If you do, send it to me so I can start my own.
I had John there.
Are
we just doing draft prospects? I have my free agents.
Just your Here's Klotzy guys. Just the Here's Klotzy.
Free agents too, though? Like
those
Robert
are both,
Spillane,
yeah.
Mekhi Becton?
I want it week by week. I want each player that you have week by week.
Okay.
And I'm gonna keep track for years because I'm interested to know, like in 3 years, like does he have 0 Pro Bowlers or does he have like 15 Pro Bowlers?
Yeah, because Klotzy's been
it's hit or miss. I'm either directly on or
every week you bring a guy to the table that you break down. I learn about a new player, but I will say, right, the player you brought to the table today, I have no idea who.
I love these, dude. It's like we're getting either Clayton Tune or we're getting Sam Laporte. Who knows? I don't know, but we'll never know for like years, and that's what makes it so
swinging
thrilling.
for the fences, Boone, but eventually, and I don't know if you guys saw the GOAT last night. Louis Riddick went on Twitter, and somebody pissed him off, but he was just like,
I think he was quote tweeting you, to be honest, or subtweeting you.
I would hope so. I mean, I agree with a lot Lou says, but Big Lou, he's like, early on in my career, I missed. But then I started getting hot, and you know what to start looking for. So I'm going to miss, no doubt. I ain't going to go 10 for 10. Could go 3 for 10, but you bet that next year I'm going 7 for 10, Boone.
That's why I just want to keep track because it's like, let's see this guy's progression. And then you know what the good thing about it is, Klotz, like in 5 years when we have these lists now, if you're hitting the front job office, I mean, a job in the front office, I was opening up for you.
Yeah,
you what?
This might not be your final stop. You might.
Oh my gosh, what a catch!
This guy might be destined for NFL greatness.
You imagine? I'd be like the Jags GM right now.
Gladstone. Yeah.
You don't hire me to be on some type of staff, I would be so mad because I would love to be a part of building the franchise. That would be one of the best things of all time, dude.
And I'll just crap on you guys every single day.
100%. Dude, that would be like one of the greatest things. Like I mean, you see people that are in media all the time, like end up being a GM, like a guy who just talks on the radio all the time. Boom, GM. And
like
you're like, whoa. Yeah, like how did this happen? And it's like, hey, they know how to run an organization. Like you're just in the business.
Look how that turned out for Mike Mayock, man. That guy was
There's a couple. Like I bet there was. Remember right before the Lions signed Brad Holmes, there was a ton of people saying like Louis Riddick should be an NFL GM, and there was some hype around that. Like I bet there's a couple guys in the industry that'd be good GMs. They probably know what it comes with, especially being former players, and they want no business doing that.
I think Louis Riddick will be a GM. It's only a matter of time. So. I mean, he's interviewed for multiple GM openings. I just think, obviously, I mean, it's hard. I mean, I think it's Louis Riddick, so people are like, oh, he should get the job. Like interviewing and actually getting the job is like a different level. So I mean, I'm sure he's going to get one eventually. But
I hope that'd be my second favorite team.
You need an ownership to fall in love with you.
You messed me up because you said the GOAT last night. I was like, oh yeah, LeBron hit a game winner. You didn't see that?
Congrats, actually. Yeah, that was a good game winner.
What do you think Stephen A was thinking? Like, I know he had his whole monologue today where he's like, well, he didn't show up at Kobe's funeral. I didn't bring that up, and I'm bringing it up right now.
Which he said that this morning. LeBron was there. He was in a spot. He said, I don't want to be photographed. And can we say this? And I'll just say it. And Jeff, you're welcome. Stephen A is an idiot. Like,
He's
shut
looking
up,
like
dude.
one right now.
And it's not even just Stephen A. It's like all of ESPN. It's all the like Josina Anderson tweeting out. And I said to the group, like, she's like, why wouldn't LeBron go on a lower level podcast or show to boost up? We all work very hard in this industry.
Yeah.
The reward of getting to the top, like Pat McAfee, is landing interviews like LeBron. Like, you just don't get handed that stuff. Like, and I wouldn't expect LeBron to be like, hey, crunch time, I'll just do this for you guys just so I can boost you. Like, no, I want to work to get there. Pat worked to get there. And now you have someone like Josina Anderson that's out there being like, he doesn't deserve it. Why wouldn't LeBron give his attention to other people? What are you talking about? Like, people work to get to those positions. Like, let LeBron do what he wants to do. And Stephen A, shut up, dude. Like, what are you talking
You gotta
about?
know when you're just too far behind.
Yeah, but here's the
like LeBron wasn't even that bad on the show, or he was literally just like straight up having a good time, and he's just turning it into content that shouldn't be content.
Well, he bodied Brian Windhorst, I will say. He bodied Brian Windhorst because Brian Windhorst has been with Bron since he was in high school. Like, he's been with him for a while. Like,
he graduated from the same high school a couple years before.
So, but he was like, this guy ain't my best friend. The guy acts like he's my best friend.
Dude's weird.
The thing though,
weird.
And this is where the audience has to understand, because in this space, people are incentivized. Like Stephen A. Smith, it's easy to be like, he shouldn't, which I agree with. It's like, dude, you took an L, just leave it alone. He's incentivized to talk about it. Have you checked the numbers? I mean, First Take right now is probably
100%.
dominating. And on top of that, his YouTube channel, like his Stephen A. Smith show, the numbers are like, as much as like, that's just the reality. Like, not that I agree with it.
I mean, he's good at what he does. I said it this morning. Like, he's really good at it.
The numbers, and I mean, they're paying bills, man. Like, he's over there crushing. So, but I'm with you. Yeah, it's like Stephen A. That's an L, man. And then he said,
I just hate it, dude.
If you would have touched me, I would have swung on you.
Yeah.
It's like Stephen
LeBron
A.
posts that video of him boxing.
Stephen A. He's not touching you, A, and B, you're not swinging on him, man. Like,
the thing I hate about it all is like Kendrick Perkins, I think it was. Like, some of these people just being like,
Kendrick's always just been a hater, man.
He has, but it's just like all these people are just being like, LeBron needs to stop now. Like, he's doing too much. Dude, he's really not doing too much. He did a normal interview. They asked him questions. He didn't really go at anyone. He literally just said Stephen A. didn't get the point of the conversation that we had. And he said he didn't get the point. And then he said, me even mentioning Stephen A., I'm sure he said, but the funniest part was like, I'm sure me just saying Stephen A.'s name, he's sitting on the couch in his whitey tighties eating ice cream, being like, yes, I got something for the show tomorrow, which is exactly what happened.
And he went on the show tomorrow.
Yeah. And he literally turned nothing that LeBron said and did like the biggest thing of all time, which is like,
he's a liar.
He's just good at his job, I guess.
He's those.
I just hate it, dude. I
hate
in the Josina Anderson tweet, and I like Josina Anderson too. I have her alerts on. She does a good job, but some of the, like, a tweet like that is just so ridiculous to me. Where it's just so like, I don't even know what's the word I'm looking for. Like,
Ignorant.
yeah, like you just have no idea. Like, what do you like? You're just trying to have it take and trying to get into this mix. You have no clue. Like, why are you trying to say? You must just not like Pat McAfee. Like, there must be something you don't like about Pat McAfee, because like, why does he have to go on a lower level shows?
Yeah, it's
like,
not at all. He made the right decision, and petty enough, he did it on the same network that Stephen A. Smith's on.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah,
that's why they got an issue with it.
Does Josina Anderson say anything when like big time people go on First Take? Does she be like, well, why are they going on First Take? Why don't they go on different shows? Like, why is it different with the Pat McAfee show that a guy like that goes on the Pat McAfee show? Like, it happens all the, like, those big A-list guys go on First Take every month.
I don't know Josina Anderson. I really don't know. The only thing I see is her like sometimes break news. That's really all I know about her. I don't know anything more, to be honest with you.
I was a fan, but that tweet today really.
It's I mean, LeBron. Before we move on here, like LeBron even said in the interview, like, people can critique anything on the court, like basketball wise, is fine. Once you get off the court and get personal, that's where, it gets, not that he, again, is going to approach everyone, but it hits different. And then the next day, no one's talking about the game winner against the Pacers.
It's all Stephen A.
He literally proved LeBron's point. Like, LeBron's like, you could talk about anything on the court. They didn't even barely talked about the game, and then went right into Bron's comments. Like, okay, this is the problem. But again, like I said earlier, views. Like the people want to hear that. Unfortunately, it's like the society we live in. People would rather listen to that. That's what Bron doesn't really understand too. As much as I love Bron, it's like you got to understand Bron. Like Joe Schmo sitting on his couch watching First Take. Like he doesn't want to hear them break down the Pacers game. He wants to hear Stephen A. respond to Bron. Yeah, entertainment. So I get both sides. It's a tough one for sure. But yeah, we didn't really talk about it yesterday, but it's all over, man, now. And then LeBron posts Stephen A on his Instagram. It's like it's just doing the boxing. I love
I'm not, and you guys know I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, but he's definitely dominating this head-to-head matchup with Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, it's so funny. What's not funny? When people are discussing trades involving Lions players that don't need to be traded. And PFF and Spotrac talked about 2 players that we're going to get into and discuss, A, if it even makes remote sense, like any sense at all, and then B, would you be open to it? Like A, will the Lions actually do it? And B, what would you do? So John Macaroon, shout out to the doc, he wrote an article. It's not from John. This isn't John's idea. This is he reported it from another place. So don't go at the doc for it. He's just the messenger. But they talked about 2 players on the Lions that could be traded in the future. It's like an article. It was like a PFF and the Spotrac thing where it's like surprising candidates kind of thing. Okay. Surprising trade candidates. And the Lions, 2 players. I don't know if this is surprising because we talked about it yesterday and people are talking about it. Amik Robertson. Here we go again. And then B, the other one.
This is a big one.
Is Alex Anzalone.
It's a big one.
Alex, yes, the Thor, the Italian stallion, Alex Anzalone. And what they talked about is it's a list. What they're talking about is it's players entering the last year of their deal. So that's what they're, and then they look at the Lions having to sign all their guys, all that stuff. So that's where they're coming from. And with Robertson, what they were talking about, what they argued is Robertson's in the last year of his deal, and you have Ennis Rakestraw, who was a second-round pick, who could play nickel for you. So that's the reasoning for that. And then I'm assuming and then they also signed Maddox, which they brought up, which I don't know how that makes sense. I don't want starting over Rakestraw. But they brought up for Anzalone, he's the more, they wrote, he's the more unlikely guy. But he's in the final year of his deal, and they have a collection of linebackers. They might even draft another one. So that's kind of where they're coming from, basically, with both those. But A, does it make sense for the Lions? Would they actually even consider it? And then B, would you actually be open to any of those guys? What do you guys think about that?
So A is what was A?
Does it make sense? Would the Lions actually do it? Do you think? And then B, what do you think about
contractual wise? Like if they're on the last year of their deal, I would say that's most likely when players in the NFL are to be traded. So, you get something out of it and you don't end up just moving on. In the terms of the Detroit Lions, though, I mean, we're talking about a Super Bowl caliber team where those are 2 big pieces, in my opinion, like Amik Robertson, most likely, depending on what happens in that corner room with Terrion and DJ Reed, that's going to be your starting nickel, Amik Robertson, which he was all year last year until Carlton Davis goes down. So that's your starting nickel that you need to. And I guess that the Ennis thing makes sense. The only thing, and I'll kind of budge back with that, it's just like you haven't really seen Ennis in live action. You have a couple times, but at a point to where it's like, hey, that's your starting nickel. I know Klotz, we talked about him starting at nickel, but it's like, are you going to bank your whole season defensively on that happening? Probably not. I wouldn't. And it's the same thing with Alex Anzalone. Like that's your green dot heart of your defense. Like when have we ever seen a Super Bowl caliber team? Like we've seen guys like it was Bobby Wagner traded, boys, I believe, or was he just
he was
free
just
agent?
released.
I know we've seen linebackers get traded, and I know I'm thinking of some other examples of some
Smith.
some big linebackers who get traded. But typically the team that they're getting traded from, they're not like Super Bowl contenders. They're in positions where it's like not contending. Trading. They're looking to kind of get assets, and they're at that descend kind of within their organization. And that's the opposite of the Lions. Like if the Lions didn't have an Alex Anzalone, you're probably looking to trade for another linebacker to go with Jack Campbell. So it makes no sense to me if I'm just being completely honest. Like chances of it, 0 to 100, if we're talking about percentage-wise, 0% chance of either one happening, especially since we've never seen Brad Holmes make a trade a player away like that. Never.
Real quick, Doug says, are these mid-season trade proposals? Yes, mid-season. So
trade deadline. Yeah. I would even say no more. Like I'd be like, there's no way, unless you're like season's over and somehow you start like 0-7.
Jared Goff would have to go down.
Yeah,
like, and Penei Sewell, and like
I think there's a better chance, Klotz. And I'll throw it. I think there's a better chance that Anzo gets a contract over the next few months, an extension, than him even getting traded. I would think. Because we haven't talked about that.
If Alex Anzalone got traded, I would lose my fucking mind. I would grab pitchforks. I would grab what are those? They carry flames. I'm losing the word that I'm trying to think of right now. It's like a stick and it has a flame. A torch.
Oh, no.
The pitchforks, the torches. I'm walking to
I
Allen Park, and I am not
yeah.
leaving until they find a way to bring Alex Anzalone back to Detroit. Because outside of Aiden Hutchinson, Alex Anzalone is the most valuable player on this defense. He might not be the best. He's not Aiden Hutchinson talent, Brian Branch talent, Kirby Joseph talent, but he's still a very good fucking player. And if you look at what he does over the last 3 years, first of all, let's start with the injury-wise. This year he got hurt. 2 years ago, he played all 17 games, and last year he missed that game with, I believe it was a concussion, or it might have been, or was that when he got clubbed up? I could be wrong. Either way, he played 16 games, and he's had 317 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries. So he does it all. And then not to mention, if you look at how the Lions play defense, at least what they've done so far, it's going to be not exactly the Aaron Glenn scheme, but Kelvin Shepard, Aaron Glenn, very similar mentality. I'm sure Shepard's going to tweak a couple of things, but Alex Anzalone, over like even just last year, was the highest graded percentage-wise man-to-man linebacker in the NFL. And Jack Campbell's close there. But when you look at what Alex Anzalone does, he gets this front seven set up. Half the time when you're watching the Lions defense, Alex Anzalone just has your attention because he's flying around the fucking field. He can tackle tight ends, tackle running backs, tackle wide receivers, and he can get to the quarterback. He might not bring the quarterback down, but we've seen many times, especially against Seattle, against Geno Smith that one time, where he just comes out of nowhere and he will bring a quarterback down. He's everything that you want in a linebacker. He just doesn't have that elite talent, but we talk about it all the time. There are games where Alex Anzalone plays like an all-pro linebacker. Doesn't mean that he is, but you see games where Alex Anzalone just takes the game over sometimes. And to be sellers at the trade deadline, like Booner's saying, in a situation where you're chasing a Super Bowl, you get rid of your green dot? Hell no. I would lose my mind.
If that happened,
I would be upset too. But at least you have the depth at corner. Like, you know, it makes a little bit more sense, but still, Meek, like, what are you going to get for these guys? 5th, 6th round pick? Like, I don't think anything, and you're paying, especially like a Meek Robertson, you're paying him fucking pennies. Same thing with Alex Anzalone, and I agree with you, Boone. If Anzo doesn't retire at the end of this year, it would be really hard for me not to see the Lions bring him back, especially because all you have to do is, all right, Anzo's not the LB1 is, Jack Campbell is. Anzo be LB2 now because he wasn't a draft pick. But when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell came to Detroit, one of their first free agent signings was Alex Anzalone. Year 1, he struggled, and I was like, all right, do not re-sign Anzo. They re-signed him. I was pissed, and he's done nothing but shut me up since that point. So no reason Anzo should be on the trade block at all.
Yeah, I don't think it makes any sense. Anzo is a valuable player. Last year, I thought he was their best linebacker. I know we could disagree on that, Boone, but regardless, he's a very good linebacker for where he is right now.
Which Jack Campbell was, but
did you see Anzo? He was subtweeting you. Did you see that?
All right. I loved Alex Anzalone. I would love that. I could have a sit down with him. We could have a conversation. I think statistically wise, he would agree with me.
But I think Anzo, very good linebacker. It doesn't make sense to trade him unless you draft a linebacker and Jack turns into like a Pro Bowl player, and that linebacker turns into he's like the mini Jack Campbell. Like he's like, okay, we got a good collection of linebackers. I mean, we can afford to in the next year. We don't need to bring him back. But that's such a hypothetical scenario, and I don't think that happens. Anzo's going to go out there this year and have a very solid year, and you're going to want him back. He's going to be. How much is he going to cost? I mean, for real.
I mean, to be fair, he's going to cost more than Derek Barnes. So. Like right now, Derek Barnes is making more than Alex Anzalone. So the price tag is a little higher.
But I think, but the difference, I'm not saying he'd get paid like pennies, but I think the difference would be Derek Barnes is 25, Anzo's 30 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, argue like he's on if the hill's like this, he's going this. Derek Barnes is like this.
But I still agree that like he's going to get paid more than Derek Barnes. Like
but I'm not signing him.
1 year deal, 2 year deal.
Yeah,
it's a fact. Like he's better than Derek Barnes even at his age.
No,
like,
I'm not. But you don't pay always based on skill. You're paying.
No,
based on
but again,
skill,
it's not going to be like a what did Derek Barnes get? 3 years.
3 years.
Like pretty much 8 a year.
The extension will be like it'll be like a 2-year extension if Alex Anzalone gets signed again. It won't be a long-term thing. It'll be like hey, this is probably one of your last deals in the NFL. Like not your last one, but hey, it's like second to last, third to last, and like you know where you're at in your career. So hey, we'll give you 2 years, and it's going to be more than Derek Barnes, which I think is fair. Like I would pay the money just knowing what he provides to your team. Like it's worth the money. And you know, like, hey, in a year or two, that's off the books, but you need to find a new Jack kind of steps into that spot and then you move on. So I think you just have to time it out. Right.
You know, I'm cool with 8, 9. I would even do maybe 10 million, but nothing more than that, in my opinion. Like 10 stretching it. I just think, man, like you drafted Jack for that reason. Like Jack's going to be Anzo. So like you don't need to keep Anzo around for the next 2-3 years. You know what I mean? Like at that point, you have Jack, and if you want to draft or sign maybe the future, you know, Robert Spillane, whoever you want to sign, like I'm just throwing him out there, but like a free agent that could play that will spot, you know, then go ahead. But I love Anzo.
So tough.
I love Anzo. Like,
I don't know if you get him at that price. I think it's impossible.
Yeah, like 12 million. Tyler says like that.
It's gonna have to be, dude. I mean, Zach Barnes just got 17 a year, and I know he had like an All-Pro year.
And we got to have a real convo then, man. 12's too much money. We got.
I think you just had to line it up with Jack Campbell's extension. That's all it has to be.
No, it's not just Jack because you have. Look at all the players that are due. It's not.
I see what you're saying, but the importance of Alex Anzalone, it's you have to pay again, and this is one of the Klotz's points that I love. It's like you're paying for what you get. Or whatever that kind of quote, and that's what it is with Anzo. Like you saw how much he was missed last year. I know we had this argument to where I'm like, well, but like what he is to your football team. He's your green dot. He's the heart of your defense. Whether the production is going to be there or not, like you're paying for that. And it's like, hey, are you willing to miss that? Like, is someone willing? Like, I think Jack is going to become a lot better linebacker this year than him. But you're losing a big time vet in that room. Yeah. So
then you're fine. If Jack becomes a better linebacker than him this year,
that's where it's just one of those things where it'd be easy to replace the talent. But I think Alex Anzalone again, and it could sound cliche, but I think Alex Anzalone is one of the smarter linebackers in football. This is still a very young defense. Like if Dre Greenlaw got paid basically $10.5 million this year over 3 years, I'm not going to be mad at a 1-2 year deal where Alex Anzalone is getting paid $22 to $24 million. Because at the end of the day, like he stays healthy for the most part. When he was in New Orleans, first season he was there, he only played 4 games as far as like, this not injury. He just didn't play much. Like he was behind DeMario Davis and a bunch of linebackers there. Second year played 16 games. Next year played 2 games, 16 games. And then he goes to Detroit. So he's really only played pretty much 2 seasons before he got to Detroit. He's 30 years old, but honestly, he plays like a 28, 29-year-old linebacker. I don't think Alex Anzalone is just going to drop off. I think if Alex Anzalone were to leave, he'd be one of the pieces that we missed the most so far from Detroit Lions players leaving this team. I would say the most.
At the vets, if you look at the vet, like that's a tough vet to just be like, yeah, we could step away from. And honestly, like I would, the conversations could change year after year. But right now, we got to see without Anzo, the full defense as a whole, that front 7 and then the adjustments and the audibles that I keep talking about. That's a big deal.
Sick Argument says, I'm still not getting how he thinks Campbell's play negates Anzo. They play 2 roles that are needed. A better Jack doesn't get rid of the will position. Never said that. My point is, if Jack's a better linebacker, and which he will be this year, like he's like, oh, this guy's a stud. I think it again, same thing with the Kevin Zeitler argument. It's like Kevin Zeitler's better than Mahogany, but Mahogany, you're paying him what? It's cheaper. And I disagree.
I would put Anzo almost as like, and you're gonna hate this.
And I'm not saying Kevin Zeitler's obviously older, but that's like how I think the Lions should look at it. If Anzo's asking for 11, 12, 13.
Do you know what I'm gonna say, Klotz?
Go ahead.
Do you know what I'm gonna say?
I have an idea, but
it's not the Zeitler comparison. Don't take this in the way of like accolades, but it's like the Frank Ragnow. It's the heart of the defense. To Frank, he is the center.
Frank's the best center.
I know that's what I said. Accolades wise, take that away, but I'm saying the heart of that offensive line, your best unit. You rip Frank out, boom, that's tough. Anzo is the middle piece in the heart of that defense, the green dot, the guy that makes the engine run. He is the gasoline of it that keeps this thing going. It's like just ripping him out. I'm not talking about play wise. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about.
You're talking like the guy was the best linebacker.
No, but you don't listen to me.
Agree with.
You do not listen to my points. I'm talking about what he provides as a leader and a value in that room. I'm not talking about when it comes to he gets this many tackles and he's done. No, because we know Jack is skill wise better. We know that, but it's what he brings to that defense. That's what it is.
I don't know still. I mean, we talk about the line. I think you're like, I think you said Jack was better, and then now as time goes on, you're like, shit.
No,
because again, he played the most man coverage.
We have segments where you do not listen to what I say.
I process
we had
everything
Jack Campbell in the Anzo conversation. I made it very clear, and there were people in the chat who agreed with me. I think they're in here now. I made it very clear. Skill-wise and statistically-wise, Jack Campbell passed up.
Not skill-wise, though. He wasn't.
Last year.
That's not true.
Yes, last year he did. But when it comes to on-field leadership and adjustments with the defense and audibles and play calling, Anzo is superior. That's where the two kind of differ. That's where if you heard me out the first few times.
No, I heard you, but it makes no sense.
You would understand what I'm saying.
No, I've heard you, Booner. It makes no sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. You just don't want it to make sense. No, because you don't want to be wrong. You just don't want it.
No. How is Jack skill-wise better than a linebacker who was asked to play the most man coverage last year?
That's a different.
He's a better
I agree.
Linebacker.
Like that's big time. Good for and Anzo did a great job
Jack
doing it.
Can't do
Did you see? But when you saw that list, did you see three names down in the NFL who was third on that list?
I saw Anzo on an island.
No. Hold on. We can pull it up. Hold on. I just want to see if you saw who else was on. I want to see if you
there. But
Jack was there
on
as well.
Island.
And I'm not. This isn't discrediting. I think. I mean, you're talking about 48%. The next one, Christian Ellis, 47%, and Jack Campbell, 39% in fourth. So it's like
you're big jump 50% of the time.
You're talking about one single part. I'm talking about like tackling.
Everything else.
Everything, even in coverage. Like I gave you, Campbell was top 10. Hold on, Jack Campbell was top 10 in every single PFF category for linebackers. Every single one.
We watched
every single one. Anzo wasn't, and this isn't.
Anzo's a better. He's better in coverage. There's no argument.
Okay, that's one part of the game. I'm talking about fully. There are there's tackling. There's rushing the passer. There's defense, run grade. There's overall grade.
Jack Campbell was better when Anzo got back.
PFF. Okay, you're just not listening. You have your point and you refuse to budge on it. No, it's not wrong. It's you disagree. It's not wrong. You disagree.
No, it's. If you ask Jack,
you're bringing up one single.
Enzo is better. Bro.
You are bringing up one single stat. Literally, Jeff, your only argument in this whole thing is, well, in man coverage, he's had the most man coverage snaps.
He's better.
Okay,
Calvin would say that last year.
I'm happy that he did that because he got put on an island and he still was good doing it and he was very good at his job.
No, the point is they asked Enzo to do stuff that Jack can't do yet.
But Jack did it 39% of the time.
Okay,
he was fourth in the NFL. He was fourth in the NFL of which you're trying to make the point. Like if Jack was like 20th in the NFL, I would be like, okay, fair.
He's not as good as Anzo yet.
He's fourth. No, he is. He is.
That doesn't Booner. He's not.
You're talking about one singular thing in man coverage.
This is where I'm
shocked. Literally, linebackers do. Klotz, how many different things do linebackers do?
Boone, you know where I stand on the Anzo.
I know, but let me ask you,
how
many different things do linebackers do? They don't just
tackle everything, most categories.
Yes, and Jack Campbell's top 10 in every category.
I think what you can say is rushing the passer. I'd give to Jack.
Buddy, every single category ranked in the NFL, he is top 10.
Dude. statistically, tackling wise, like Anzo was out for how many games and what happened? Like you're acting like the dude was available the entire season.
Everyone was hurt. Everyone. Jack Campbell had to do it with literally a
And Anzo came back, and who was there? Nobody still. And they were better.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, because he's a good player.
Yeah, he's their best linebacker,
No, okay.
bro.
Dude, you
Like,
refuse to understand the point.
I know.
Let's just
It's
move
like
on.
you're
Let's just
saying
move
2
on.
+ 2 = 5. Like you're not understanding.
No, I'm not. Let's
back.
move on because you're just trying to gaslight. No, I don't want to do this. Let's get to the next
We can agree to
segment.
disagree. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, good debate, boys. Good debate. Alex Anzalone still is the better all-round linebacker. Jack Campbell's more talented. Jack Campbell, hey, he'll be better this year, in my opinion, Boone.
Sick argument said, make Booner look up Jack Campbell's PFF grade. He was literally 20th. Take away all the players that played under 500 snaps who barely played. Minimum of 500 snaps. Players who actually played full seasons, go look at where he ranked amongst linebackers who actually played. Switch the snap count. Go look at people who actually played the same sample size.
Listen, I respect PFF. I do. I respect it.
You only use it when it has
No.
good for you.
I like PFF when it matches what I've seen. Like I can't look at that and say like he was better than I just can't, dude. Like, and I was with you last year. I said he'd be better. I was wrong. Like, not yet. This year he will be. I just can't go there yet. But I get it. I respect it.
Come on, boys.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade him. And by the way, like I know it sounded like I was. Listen, I don't know how the Lions are going to handle the Enzo situation. I'm not trying to sound like I'm just going to move on with. Obviously, I know he's very.
He's as good as you're saying. I mean, you should never want to move on from Enzo.
No, he's not one of the best linebackers in the league. Like, but he's not. He's better than Jack right now. He is. Like, see, there you go. Tried to throw something out, you missed. But I think
it's a fact.
I think Enzo's. I think he's solid. He's very good. He brings value with his mind, with his experience, with his play. He does it all. But I just want to see how much he would ask for. I got to see that, because if Jack's as good as we think he'll be this year, you might not be under as much pressure to pay him. So you shouldn't even want to pay him, Boone. Jack's going to be that good. Like, you should be all out on
the timing of it. I think you can line it up to time correctly. Jack's only going into year 3, doesn't he? He has 2 more years until his contract hits, or you would have to re-sign him.
Okay.
If you time it up right, you can bring Anzo back, which I would love. You're acting like I think Anzo's good. Like, this is a thing where it's like, oh, Anzo's subtweeting you. Like, it's not that I don't think Anzo's good. Like, I still think he's one of the best in the NFL at his position. I just think Jack Campbell has passed him up.
Jack's better.
I believe this year Jack Campbell will be a potential All-Pro and a minimum Pro Bowl.
Last year.
I think last year Jack was better.
Last year Jack was one of the best in the entire NFL.
I don't think Anzo was top 10 in his position. I think you can make an argument that Jack Campbell was, though.
I respect the opinion, Boone. You're staying consistent. Yeah. Staying loyal to Jack.
Like, there's an argument you can make with the numbers that he was top 10 inside linebacker last year. Good.
Who has the better aura, though, Boone?
Alex Anzalone, 100%. Listen, this is where I hate this, because we get in these arguments, and it's like, let's say Anzo's watching, which there's a chance he could be. Like, and he's like, oh, this Booner kid hates me. Like, no, like, I think Anzo's. I love Anzo, my Italian friend, like my Italian brother. Friend. Like, I love Alex Anzalone. I just think Jack Campbell is there. Like, I think he was there last year, and I think people overlooked it. I love Anzo though, but like, I think Jack, what I saw out of him last year, it was like, yep, he's the real deal. If you want to ignore it,
this
then
is
go ahead.
Boone, this is how, if people are interpreting it this way, this is how my Matthew Golden and T-Mac convo went, where it was instantly like pointing out the flaws I don't like about T-Mac, and then it made him instantly terrible. It's like, no, he's still a great wide receiver.
To be fair, with your T-Mac thing, you have taken a step back and said, I don't even think he's going to be that good in the end. Like, he's going to be average.
I said he was going to be Michael Pittman.
Which is like just a normal wide receiver. Normal wide receiver. I could draft a Michael Pittman in the 5th round.
And you said no.
I could draft the right Michael Pittman in the 5th round this year.
Top 5 NFL offseason.
Give me Nick Nash.
The Lions make the cut. We'll go through our list, see if the Lions made the cut. Top 5 NFL offseasons. All right. So,
all right.
I'll go first. I'll show off my top 5 list. I'll break it down, explain why I have teams where I have them. And by the way, top 5 off season, I can't believe, I don't think I have to explain this. I think the chat's smart enough to already understand this, but just for like the one person that doesn't, when you rank top 5 teams off seasons, doesn't always mean they're going to go and win a Super Bowl. Okay. These aren't like power rankings. This is off season, who won all that stuff. Just make that people are going to be like, oh my God, there's always one person.
And
all right.
we, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of similarities. Just order might be a little different. We might have a couple different teams, but save like criticism for the end, our critiques.
I'm sure. I mean, yeah, after each person go,
give a little some, but I don't want to spend like 15 minutes
I know
on one
something,
list and then it gives away a list.
Yeah, that's fair. I know something on one of your guys' lists that I definitely have to talk about.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Let me get this so we can. All right,
Mr. Iafrate. Out of the stand.
Who will be one?
I already know who yours is for one. I see it right now, but I already knew this was going to be.
Bang! Here we go. All right,
there should be a unanimous number 1 overall.
Let me talk to you for a second here. All right, and chat, hear me out. I already know the comments. Okay, they're gonna say, of course you'd pick them, you Bears fan. I hate you. But let's talk for a second. All right, the Bears are number 1. They just are. And by the way, off season, we're including coaches.
Yep.
Bears. I mean, Ben Johnson. That already gives them enough. All right. I would hope most Lions fans would understand, even though he went to the Bears. I get that. You should hate him. That he's still a really good coach. I think you should understand that. Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator. Are you kidding me? Eric Bieniemy as a running backs coach. They're getting a good collection of guys, even plucked someone from Sean Payton's staff. So coaching wise, and by the way, I see the comments already like offseason champs once again. By the way, could happen. I'm not saying they're going to be the best team in the league. I'm saying the offseason, I thought they had the best offseason. And then you talk about who they signed. They brought in Joe Tooney. They brought in Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman. Those are all, Jonah, when healthy, he's kind of the big question mark. But Joe and Drew are both top 5 at their position. So, like, Drew's a very good center. Joe's a very good guard. He played tackle, a little out of position, but he could still do it. Jonah, when healthy, I don't know where he'd put him. Maybe like top 12. I don't know. I got to see how the guard's healthy. But Jonah, when healthy, he's solid. I wouldn't say he's great, but they might draft, by the way, a tackle. So we'll see what happens. And then on defense, they brought in the defensive end from the Colts, Odadingo.
Yeah, have fun with that, yeah.
Yeah, a tough name to pronounce, but he's solid. But as a whole, in terms of additions, I thought they did a really good job. They even signed a Zacchaeus from the Commanders.
Low-key, besides Tooney, I think that's their best signing.
Zacchaeus is solid. I mean, Lions fans know who that is. Okay, he made plays against the Lions, and he made plays for the Commanders all year. So I thought the Bears had a really good offseason here so far. Number 2, the Patriots. Again, coaches. Mike Vrabel, love it. Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson, 2 of my favorite hires just for teams. So I have to put them up there. But that's not just that, right? You look at what they've done in free agency, and yes, they've spent a lot of money. I understand that, but they have to. They have plenty of money available. They had a bunch of holes to fill. And I like what they did, like Harold Landry. They signed Stephon Diggs. Not, a huge fan of that, but I get it. Like, I understand it. I think Stephon will be productive. I do. I understand why they went and did it. And they went and signed Milton Williams to a big contract. Carlton Davis, they signed as well.
Don't forget about Spillane now.
Robert Spillane. Like, they made good hire or good signings, like solid signings. Guys that Mike Vrabel's familiar with. And I think the Patriots are doing a really good job so far. And they still have a top 4 pick. So we'll see what they do with that. But number 3, I have the Commanders. Commanders made moves, man. Deebo Samuel, they acquired Laramie Tunsil. Those 2 moves on their own are pretty impressive. I mean, you got to put them up there. I mean, in terms of that, they re-signed a lot of guys. But just Laramie Tunsil, he's a top tackle in this league. I mean, you make that type of trade, that's a trade that could help you get over the top. So Laramie Tunsil, very good acquisition. Deebo Samuel, I think Deebo when healthy is really good, but still there's again off the field stuff you're kind of worried about there. And there's some concern. I get that. But 2 really good players. Number 4, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are making some moves. They brought in Evan Ingram, who's a very good tight end. I think Bo Nix is going to love him. He's a reception machine. And then you have Tufunga, the former all-pro safety from the 49ers that they brought in to, I guess, replace Justin Simmons that they didn't have a kind of a successor for. Now they got Tufunga. And then Dre Greenlaw they also brought in, which I think are very solid signings. They also signed another defensive tackle. I thought the Broncos have been doing a really good job this offseason and adding to a strength, which is their defense. And they're still probably going to draft, I would assume, a weapon in the first round. So they'll add even more talent. So I like it. And then number 5, and by the way, I put them at 5, and I see ETN in the chat. Vikings are too low. I actually don't hate that argument. I think the Vikings are having an excellent offseason. They really are. The Vikings are doing some great stuff. I mean, if you want to bump them a spot or 2, I'm not going to really fight you too much on it. I would still put the Bears and Patriots 1 and 2, but the Vikings should be higher. I don't hate that because look what they've done. They didn't re-sign Sam Darnold, and we all know Sam Darnold has a ceiling. Okay, he's a solid quarterback. They don't want to pay him what he was going to be asking, and they can get J.J. McCarthy, who's on a rookie deal, hopefully to replace the exact same production. And they went out and signed players. They traded for Jordan Mason. They re-signed Aaron Jones. They signed Jonathan Allen. They signed Javon Hargrave. They signed Jeff Okudah. No, I'm just kidding. But they made some really important signings. So I love what they've been doing. And their offensive line. Are we going to skip over that? Will Fries, the guard from the Colts, very good guard. He's 26 years old. They signed Ryan Kelly, very good center from the Colts. They both came from the Colts. And the Colts always have a pretty good offensive line. So they signed a bunch of key pieces, signed guys in the trenches, got another running back. I like it. I like what the Vikings have done. I do. And we'll see what they do at backup quarterback. They're probably going to bring in like Ryan Tannehill or something. So those are my top 5 teams. If I'm being real with you guys, because I know the question would be, war or the Lions? The Lions, to me, just missed the cut. I think they're in the top 8, 7. But I wouldn't put them above these teams. And again, that's not an insult. That's just the reality. These teams needed to do more, and they did more, right? They hired coaches. They signed a bunch of players. They had to make a bunch of – and it's not just about the acquisitions, but it's about how much they improved the offseason so far. And these teams improved to me. So, these are the teams I decided to go with. Lions just missed the cut.
I have faith. There's – really, I like the teams we put in there, just the order. And again, we'll see my list here in a little bit, but the order I disagree with, but I'm not going to fight you too hard on a couple of them because I think especially the back 2 with the Broncos, Vikings, and you got the Commanders in there. If you're weighing where, again, it's subjective. So if you're looking at Ben Johnson and then you obviously Mike Vrabel, the rest of the teams didn't have head coaches, but they already have really good elite head coaches. I'm not going to hold you too bad on the 1 and 2.
Yeah, because I still don't have the Rams. There's some.
Yeah, I think you're missing some teams. And I'll just say it now. I don't have the Vikings in my top 5, but I think, again, I just think there's teams you can interchange. I think I'll say this, and then this is where I was having a problem. I think 1 through 3 is locked in. I think 4 to 8 is so interchangeable in my opinion. I think it just depends on how you look at the teams. You know what I mean? The Vikings, to me, I don't have them in there because they didn't figure out their quarterback situation, and there's still rumors where they're refusing to say, hey, JJ, you're the guy. We're still open to bringing someone in. That's the most important position to me. And they went all in on Sam Darnold. He ends up signing somewhere else. They went all in on Daniel Jones. He ends up saying, I want to go to the Colts. They go all in on Aaron Rodgers. He wants to go to the Steelers and go somewhere else or not even play football. So it's just they've swung and missed. I think they've done a good job. Defensive line, they added pieces. Offensive line, they added pieces. But from 15 wins to now, you look at teams like the Lions didn't digress. To me, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't know what's going on. There's a digression there a little bit.
Regression.
Just a little regression. Yeah. Sorry. And that's it. And it's I think these teams from 4 to 8, I think they're all so close to where you have to look at things like that. What are the teams that actually took a step forward? I like the Broncos. I originally had the Broncos on my list this morning and I took them out. I took them out of 5th. So I like them. I think they made a couple moves that they needed to. I just don't think they made I don't know. I still think they have some things that they can figure out. They still need weapons, right? They still need a running back. There's still things that they need to figure out. Whether you think Evan Ingram, that was good. I think they signed a secondary player, but yeah. No, I like it though, Jeff.
All right, we'll get two. Let's go next.
Pull mine up because we have pretty much same teams, if not the exact same teams.
Okay.
Just order is different.
I don't like your order, Klotz.
Hey, it's fine. It's my order. That's why.
Talk to me,
How you
Klotz.
get a glimpse of these anyways? But here it is, boys. Number one for me, the Washington Commanders. And I think why the Commanders are number one for me is the fact they were just in the NFC Championship, and the players that they were able to obtain via trade and free agency, but more important, the players that stuck around. Now, I think what really shows me, okay, this team is going to be very good next year is the veterans. They were able to bring Zach Ertz back and Bobby Wagner. And I think when you look at how important both of those guys were, being able to bring them back with a young quarterback, I think is huge. We were just talking about Alex Anzalone on the Lions defense. The Alex Anzalone of the Commanders defense, given he hasn't been there as long, but still, is Bobby Wagner. And then Zach Ertz is coming off a resurgence year. But even, Laramie Tunsil, of all the guys that Jeff named, I think the Commanders, they were able to go out there and spend money. I don't think they overpaid, and they added a lot of talent to a team that was already very good. I think they cemented themselves as a legit team. They're not going to be falling back this offseason, and it's the fact they were already so good, and they made as many moves as they did. I don't think Deebo Samuel is going to be some lighted-up wide receiver, but when you look at the division they play, when they play Philly, a player like Deebo Samuel is very valuable to have, especially when both of those teams are going to be very good. So I love what the Commanders have done this offseason. Number two, Jeff, you had him at number one. That's why I said I'm not going to fight you too hard on it, is the Chicago Bears. What they needed to do, they did. They needed to go out and get a legitimate type of head coach. Ben Johnson is going to be that. And they needed to protect fucking Caleb Williams. And they got I'll say two very good linemen. And if Jonah Jackson is able to revitalize his career, which I don't think is likely, but if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Ben Johnson. I think what they've done to that offense is exactly what they needed to do, and they made their defensive front better. Ben Johnson and what they've done with the coordinators as well, being able to poach some people from the Lions. The Bears have killed this offseason, whether it's Lions fans, we want to like it or not. That's just the reality of it. Number three is the Denver Broncos. Didn't make many moves, but when I look at these moves, adding Dre Greenlaw, adding Hufanga, and adding Evan Ingram, just those three alone, that is
the only three they made.
Very similar to what the Commanders I'm saying is this was already a very good team, but these players are going to be huge contributors for him. Bo Nix, he's not a guy that has a rocket arm. Can he throw it down the field? Yes. But Evan Ingram's going to be in the 85 catch radius, and then you have a guy like Courtland Sutton, and then again, like Jeff said, they're going to add a wide receiver through that draft. Evan Ingram is somebody that could add so much value to this offense, and then you look at the contracts and the guys that they signed on the defensive side of the ball. 2 years ago, Hufanga was one of the best safeties in football. He's an all-pro type of safety. He had an injury. He's been battling through injuries. And then San Francisco, just as a whole, was a mess last year, whether it was with the injuries, without him. They were a mess. I think Hufanga, especially with Sean Payton and that defense, the way that they were already playing, he's going to be a stud there. It's Hufanga and Pat Surtain. That's going to be a dynamic duo. And then you look in front of them, they got Dre Greenlaw, and they got him for a fucking bargain. I understand that he's coming off 2 torn ACLs. He's not going to be the Dre Greenlaw of old. The old Dre Greenlaw was the best linebacker 2 in the league, but he's going to be a very steady front 7 guy for them. And again, they're going to add more in the draft. So I think so far, Broncos have done exactly what they needed to do. 4 is the Minnesota Vikings. Again, pretty much all the points that Jeff said. Boone, when you bring up, well, they moved off Sam Darnold and they're going to J.J. McCarthy, I think that's something they had to do regardless. If it wasn't this offseason, it was going to be next. And who did we talk to at the Combine, boys? Josh McCown. And what did Josh McCown say? J.J. is ready. J.J. is ready. And Josh McCown I respected him as a QB mind in general, even when he's in Carolina. But he's in Minnesota right now. Minnesota has Kevin O'Connell. They added guys on the defensive side of the ball, but they added 2 sneaky signings that I fucking love. And one of them was Isaiah Rodgers, who I brought up before. But Rondell Moore, he's going to be the wide receiver 3. We're going to be like, oh, it's Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore is going to have 1 or 2 plays that are just going to be that. How the hell did they get Rondell Moore? And I just think that offense is going to be very explosive. They made big upgrades to that offensive line to help protect J.J. McCarthy, and they were able to bring Aaron Jones back, who's a good running back in general, but out of the backfield, Aaron Jones is elite. And who do you have again? J.J. McCarthy. So he's going to have a check down machine there. The reason I have the Patriots is 5 and not 2 or 1, because I love what they've done. Mike Vrabel, simply is because they've overspent. And they've overspent on players that I think are good, like the Milton Williams contract. Milton Williams is good, but this is going to be something down the road when they have a really good draft class. I think could end up biting them in the ass. But the amount of talent that they've added in a division that is honestly up for air outside of the Buffalo Bills, like the Patriots, if they have a good draft and Drake May takes that step that everybody thinks he can, and Mike Vrabel is still Mike Vrabel, they could very, very easily be the number 2 seed in the AFC East. And I think they're going to have a top 10 defense this year. And when you look at, they need to go in the offense in the draft, and they just need to draft offensive line, take a receiver somewhere in between. If they're able to protect Drake May this year and he takes that step, this team is set up to be very good as far as a wild card team next year. And then depending on how the Bills and Brandon Beane continue to manage it, I would not be surprised, again, if Drake May continues to take these steps, if they're kind of contending with the Bills in 2 or 3 years as far as with the AFC East. But I think the Patriots, like Jeff said, they did spend a lot of money, but they added a lot of talent. If they were to take Travis Hunter in this year's draft, best player, I'm not saying that. I just think when you look at that team, they need an offensive lineman more than a Travis Hunter. They will have the best cornerback room in the NFL. They have Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, and you add Travis Hunter there, and then they look at who they've added on that front 7. That defense is going to be scary, coached by Mike Vrabel, but these are my top 5 teams. A team that I was really fighting with here that I really wanted to throw in, I was fighting between them and the Vikings, is the Raiders. I love what the Raiders have done this offseason. They finally got themselves a legitimate head coach, quarterback. They're able to retain Max Crosby. So that's kind of like my 5B team. But I think all these teams have had elite off seasons. I think as of right now, the best 5. But I'm interested to hear what you boys have to say. Boone, I know you said you didn't like the order.
Yeah, I mean, we could do mine because I mean, if I talk about your order, it just gives away essentially what the problem I have with your list. Listen, again, I mean, I just think that the same point stands. The 4 through 8, it's interchangeable. Broncos, I think there's about five teams you can just 5 or 6 teams. You're like, okay, they had a good offseason. I think the Eagles are included in there. I don't have them on my list. I think the Eagles had a good offseason. I would argue that you could put them in the top 5. Some people might not like my top 5. This is my top 5, though.
All right, Boone, talk to us.
Oh, he threw him in. He threw him in there.
I did what I had to do.
Okay.
The number 1 team, I'll do this. I'll start from 5. I'll start with the Detroit Lions. I'll work my way backwards here. And people might say, hey, this is slappy, Booner. I'll tell you what. The way I looked at this, and at 6, 7, 8, I'll say this. I'll go my honorable mention. I would probably say Eagles, Broncos, Vikings. I think they all made moves. And the way I looked at this list, and before you say, oh, Booner, you're a slappy, I genuinely went at this thinking, what teams took a step forward? Like, what teams with what they needed to take or what they had room to do with? Like the Lions, they didn't have as much work to do as the Patriots, right? Like the Patriots had a long way to go. They had a lot of money to spend. And they were, let's say here, they could have got all the way up here, and they ended up getting here. The Lions were already here, and all the Lions needed to do was get here. And in my opinion, when you look at this Lions team, there's a couple factors that I took into play with this, and I don't think anyone would disagree with me. Number 1, you knew the corner room had to be figured out, right? Like you had to figure out the corner room because you knew either you're re-signing Carlton Davis or you have to walk away. What did Brad Holmes do? He got a player, the equivalent of Carlton Davis, and he got him on 4 years cheaper per season. He essentially saved $12 million and got a player at the same level as Carlton Davis. Then you go, okay, what's the next move, boys? What do you guys say? Edge room, correct? Yeah. And what did Brad Holmes do in the edge room? Yes, and I've made this statement a million times over the last week. If you truly believe that Brad Holmes could have afforded Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, you don't deserve to be in this conversation. You don't. There has never been an NFL team once in history. Never has been a team in the NFL history that has had 2 top 5 edge rushers, premier edge rushers, top 5 in the NFL, and you had to pay them both playing on the same football team. And I'm talking about in the current moment. I'm not saying, oh, this guy was top 5 at one point, but we got him later in his career. No, at one moment. You've never seen it. It was one of the most unrealistic situations ever. I fell for it. Now I'm realistic and I see the light. But when it comes to the edge room, value-wise, Klotz, I know you hate the Lions at 5, but value-wise, what did Brad Holmes do? He said, I'm going to get Marcus Davenport and I'm going to get Levi Onwuzurike on $2.5 million each. If you talk value on if those guys are both healthy and what they end up could be ceiling wise for this team next year, you're talking about guys that should be worth 9-10 million at some point, and you just got them at $2.5 million. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. And then you talk about the depth pieces that he went out and got at spots like defensive tackle, linebacker, Avonte Maddox, boys. Like, those are just depth pieces where it's like, all right, let's fill some holes. And then the other part that I took into account here was you lose two of the best coordinators in the NFL, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. And you're sitting there going, oh, what are these guys going to do, man? What did Brad Holmes do? He went and upgraded. Now, I'm going to say upgraded, but he went and built a hell of a staff. John Morton promoted Kelvin Shepard within the program. Went and got David Shaw, boys. A guy who was 4 months ago. See that team that's number one right there? Was interviewing for their head coach position. And he said, hey, we can't take you as an OC. Hey, come over here as a pass game coordinator. He went and got the best running backs coach in college football and said, hey, come be a running backs coach for the Detroit Lions. He retained Hank Fraley, who had all these offers to go be OCs and go have other positions. He maintained, I don't even know the word I just said, but he kept Scotty Montgomery, Mark Brunell. So the people who say, hey, Lions had a bad offseason, no, hey, like, realistically, from where they started off in their offseason to where they could have gone, I think they did a hell of a job. I think they did. When it comes to value for money and the positions, they filled the needs that they needed to. And obviously, they still might have some work to do at the edge. I think that's the only thing that's sitting there is the edge. They went and built a very, very good coaching staff. And now you have the draft, and you're sitting there like, hey, what? We need an edge. Outside of that, we could draft whoever we want. We could draft BPA if we want, and we're going to be perfect. So that's why I have Lions at 5. Sorry, that was a rant on the 5 because it's the Lions. I know people are probably like, oh, Booner. But number 4, Klotz, this is the problem that I had with your list, and we could talk about it after I'm done. But the problem I had with your list is we've had conversations the last week, within this week, about top 5 teams in the NFC. And one of your biggest arguments in this whole top 5 teams in the NFC was how good of an offseason the Los Angeles Rams had, keeping a guy like Matthew Stafford, bringing in Devontae Adams, and how they had such a good offseason, and you think this team is so good that they should pass up the Washington Commanders in the NFC. By the way, Spencer Torkelson just hit a home run. I had him at plus 1,000 to hit a home run tonight, so I just made $100. But you're the one that's like, hey, they're better than the Commanders this year because of what they've done this offseason, replacing Cooper Kupp, getting their left tackle paid, bringing back Matthew Stafford and making those moves. I don't see a world where you told me 2 days ago that the Rams had such a good offseason that they're better than the Commanders now after going to the NFC Championship game, that you didn't even have them on your list. And then you had the Commanders, who you said they were better than this offseason, at number 1. And that doesn't, 2 plus 2 equals 115 in that scenario to me, Klotzy. I can't wrap my head around it. That's where I'm like, and Jeff didn't even have the Rams. I think the Rams, solely off Devontae Adams, finding a way to a Matthew Stafford, who was already on a private jet to New York, and they somehow get this man back. They re-sign their left tackle to a deal before it ends up boom, and they get him on an amazing deal. I don't see a world where the Rams shouldn't be number or even talked about in this list, because they did have I think they had a good offseason based off of, again, this is my thing, where they were at and what they could do with the money and everything that they had provided. Number 3, I'm with both of you guys. Jeff, I think me and you had 1, 2, 3 the exact same. I believe. So I like the Commanders. I think what they did, they didn't make a bunch of moves, as Klotzy said. That's why I had them at 3 and not 1 and 2. It's the same thing with the Rams. The Rams made just a couple moves, and the Commanders just made a couple moves.
They signed the most contracts in the NFL this offseason, Boom.
Yeah, but it was internal. And more so, I just want to look at guys like Laramie Tunsil. I think that was a great move. Debo Samuel, we'll see how that works out. There's still a little couple question marks. Like putting them at number one for having bringing in Will Harris as their starting safety. You can't be number one if you brought Will Harris as your starting safety. So I couldn't do that. That was one of the things that shot me down a little bit. Maybe they draft a safety. Who knows? Patriots number two, I think with Vrabes, Josh McDaniels, Terrell Williams, like, unbelievable staff that they have in there now in this offseason. The Stephon Diggs, that's still a question mark to me. Brought in a right tackle, brought in a new center, Milton Williams, Carlton, Harold Landry, Klotz, Robert Spillane. I think the Patriots, whether you think some of them they overpaid or not, maybe, but they still built an unbelievable roster that are legit can compete for a wild card spot next year in the AFC, in my opinion. And then number one, the Bears. I think this is a 1-1. Like I think this is a unanimous one overall. Bringing in Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen, the offensive line. There was literally one piece of this whole football team that they needed to fix to get to that next level, and they went and got two, if healthy, unbelievable offensive linemen in a center for the future with Caleb Williams and Drew Dolman. Is it, boys? Is that how you pronounce it? Drew Dolman.
Yep.
And then I think, and then defensively, the only other thing they needed to do was kind of shore up that defensive line. They have a secondary. They have linebackers. They go and get Grady Jarrett. They got Javon Dexter. And then they get that edge. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Deo out of Bingo. So they shored up their defensive line. They shored up their offensive line, and they have a good coaching staff now. I don't see a world where it's like, hey, if you look at what the Bears needed to do and what they did, they dominated in the offseason. They did, and I don't think there's a question to it. So that's my list. I think the only I think all of the teams from 1 to 3 should be the same, and then I think from 4 to 8, again, I think it's interchangeable. I do. I think it just depends on how you look at it. The only problem I have with all the lists is Klotz, you not having the Rams on there. I think is
okay. So I'll explain, and
level.
you don't have to agree, but this is why. I love what the Rams did, obviously, but I think the teams in their situations, if I was going to do, okay, the Rams are the best team in the NFC, make them number one, then the Eagles and Lions would be on this list too. But I think given where these teams are at, they just made more signings and they were meaningful signings. It's not like they were throwing shit at a wall and hoping that it sticks. Like the Commanders, they went out and they did work too. I think the Rams getting Devontae Adams, like I said, will make them and re-signing Stafford. They were the second, third best team in the NFC based on what you look at last year, and they went up a spot or two. In my opinion, they went up to the number one spot in the NFC. But the Washington Commanders, given the fact that they were able to bring back key veterans, you have a rookie quarterback, and you were able to surround him with better pieces, and you made that defense better. Will Harris, to your point, well, no chance, especially with Dan Quinn as a defensive head coach.
We'll see.
Is going
as
to
of
be
now.
their starting safety.
But
So,
we're grading their offseason as of right now.
Wise, like there were so many defensive ends that we were looking at for the Lions, and the Commanders signed a couple of them, and they already had a decent front seven, and they added to that front seven as well. They made their secondary better. So right now, I've loved what the Rams did. Rams would be right outside, but the Commanders did more, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if we did a list based off of all right.
And then my second thing is with the Lions, you've started this list off by saying teams that took a step forward. There is no way up to this point, because that's what we're grading this on, that you can tell me the Detroit Lions have taken a step forward this offseason. You could say maybe they've maintained, but we talked about it yesterday. Let's look at Kevin Zeitler. Let's look at that right guard spot, because Mahogany's going to be playing left guard most likely because he was doing just fine at it last year, and Graham Glasgow was struggling. They're probably going to put him next to Panay if they don't draft somebody. Kevin Zeitler to Graham Glasgow, that's a decline. I think Carlton Davis and DJ Reed, it's not much. I think Carlton Davis is a little bit better, but DJ Reed's more available. So again, I'm not going to get into that one too much. And then we talk about the coordinators. Like this Lions team took a step back. It's not like they were going to not hire anybody. Like I like the Kelvin Shepherd one. I'm going to see about the Johnny Morton one. I'm definitely not as confident as that. But to say the Lions had a top 5 offseason, if we were not Lions fans, we would not be having them in the top 5 list. I do not see a world how we can say the Lions took a step forward so far. The main thing we were focusing on was the defensive end spot. And so far, we didn't need to bring in Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, but Robert Spillane, or not Robert Spillane, I'm thinking about the Patriots, Zadarius Smith, Matthew Judon are still sitting out there, Dante Fowler. There's been multiple defensive ends that have signed one-year deals elsewhere, and the Lions could have went out there and paid that money, but they wanted to pay Marcus Davenport. Contract is not bad at all. They signed Derek Barnes. They brought back Levi Onwuzurike. They added Roy Lopez, but this team has not taken a step forward, in my opinion. If you want to say that they stayed the same, that's fine because you add in the injuries. But when you add in the coaches, which we took into account here with the Bears and the Patriots, I don't see how they did that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want me to respond, because I agree with that. I don't have the Lions in my top 5, so I'm not going to. I don't know what you think of that, Boone. I mean, I could just pile on and say why I don't.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think like Jeff, you probably like I'm right outside. I think 4 to 8 is interchangeable. I think it just depends on how you want to look at it.
I get what you're saying when you say that. I just don't know. I personally don't think you can put the Lions ahead of the Vikings. That's where I think we disagree. I think the Vikings in the offseason had a better offseason because of what they were able to do. Like their defense was pretty good last year. They added even more. Like their offensive line, like Will Fries was a top 4. You brought up PFF earlier. He was 4th on PFF overall guards, 4th among overall guards. Like he's a hell of a guard, one of the best guards in the league. So that's where it's like, I get what you're saying. Some teams you can't interchange. I don't think you can argue the Lions had a better offseason than the Vikings. That's where my biggest gripe is. Top 4, I'm not going to pick I'm not going to go at you. I just don't think the Lions should be in the top 5. Again, that doesn't mean that they're not like these teams are the best. It's just offseason. Like they're already a good team. They didn't have to do a lot. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ETN says okay. Yeah, I don't know. I disagree with that, but I think if you want to, the Rams I think are interesting. I'm honestly think the Rams had a pretty good offseason. I'd probably, like I said, the Lions to me are probably they're somewhere between 6 and 10. If you want to put them 7, I didn't even think of the Raiders. Like the Raiders are an interesting one. They added some guys. Like the Rams I would put right outside the top 5. Like there's teams I would put above the Lions in terms of the offseason, personally.
I think like you could take any of the bottom teams in the NFL and be like, hey, they just signed a lot of guys. Like that's like
no.
Like that's basically what your point was there. It's like, oh, these guys just signed. Go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I literally brought up the point. These teams didn't just throw shit at the wall and hope that it sticks. If you look at what the Dolphins did, the Dolphins signed a hell of a lot of guys. Not the Cowboys. The Giants signed a lot of people. But like they're signing James Hudson, who Toledo guy is not very good, and they're expecting him to go out there and be that starting guy for him. I don't think that's a good move. I like Paulson Adebo, I like Javon Holland, but outside of that, there's not that many moves that I like. If you look at the Commanders, who I put in there because they made a lot of moves, I think they made a really good depth move, and they made significant starting moves. The Patriots, the same thing. Like they added to their defense, which they needed to do. They have an elite quarterback room, especially if they had Travis Hunter, makes it the best in the league. You guys know I love Robert Spillane. They added Milton Williams, Harold Landry, who was with Harold Williams and Mike Vrabel. So it's not just like no. That's not at all.
I wasn't going to say it. I like the thing. You brought it up, Klotzy. The thing I struggle with the Lions is they brought back some similar faces that on a cheaper contracts. I'll give them credit, like Davenport and Levi. I like it. I do. I like it. But to your point, Klotz, and I honestly didn't think of this when I didn't put the Lions in, but now it makes sense. If we're factoring coaches, they did get worse on coordinators. They did technically, so like that has to at least weigh into the offseason. You know what I mean? When you're looking at other teams, like looking at the coaching staff, it has to factor in a little bit. So like, I would throw that in there too. So I think the Lions are, if they sign Za'Darius, I think they'd have a hell of a case. If they sign like another edge, I think they'd have a better case, but they just,
to this point,
yeah, I don't. That's where I'm struggling a little bit. So, and I know I drafted him. I drafted Amarion Hampton to the Vikings, but like they did bring in Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason's pretty solid.
Jordan Mason,
he's pretty solid. No, he is. He was pretty good for the 49ers. So
I hope they don't get Malachi Starks because Harrison Smith's getting older. I was surprised they were able to retain Byron Murphy too. That was another move that I really liked by them because he was balling out last year. Now let's see if it wasn't just on a contract year, but even Arizona, he was getting better and he was looking pretty fucking good this year. He's up there in interceptions as far as league leaders. Kept the cornerback one. Just keep adding that secondary. Their defensive front was already fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the Bears and the Commanders thing though. I would say the Bears, just in terms of everything, like I think they had a better offseason than the Commanders, but like Laramie Tunsil as a single acquisition's big. Like Laramie's really good, Debo's really good. I know they had the most contracts given out, but
you can't base your
very pieces, and then they bring in like Dietrich Wise, Eddie Goldman. They're able to bring in Jonathan Jones, who's a very underrated corner as well. And then, like you said, Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel, like they had a legit starters and a lot of depth.
It's cool.
Like, awesome. I don't think that, like, who did they overpay for?
No, I'm not talking about overpay. I'm just talking about
not saying you are, but like they didn't overpay for anyone.
No,
like, they paid for what they got.
Yeah, but you know what? This shows, to give the Lions credit, though, the Vikings and Bears being on my list, they're trying to catch a team. They're trying to get to the Lions level. Like, that's the takeaway. Like, they're trying to get to the Lions level. Again, just because they're ahead of them on a damn fucking offseason list doesn't mean that they're better than the Lions, but both had really good off seasons. It just depends on what JJ is, to be honest. Like, if JJ's good, that's the big thing, because they surrounded him with a lot. He has everything: a defense, offensive line, run game, weapons. He literally a great offensive coach. Like, if he isn't good by Thanksgiving, he stinks. That's my takeaway on JJ.
I mean, he's a rookie deal. You got to give him time.
I was like,
That's the dumbest take of all time.
He's gonna be like,
there's Boone. Come on, finally.
Yeah, it was good. I got a word in. It was cool.
No, you haven't been talking. I'm trying to get you to talk. I'm going at your Lions take. You just are just defeated now. What happened?
Nothing. I'm just listening. It's good to hear. It's good sometimes.
So you admit you're wrong on that?
No, I think it's a personal opinion.
Don't do
I think some people looked at the list as who made the most transactions, and I looked at it as who did the moves, who made the moves they're supposed to make to maintain or keep pushing forward.
Hey, Boone, you came at me earlier, Boone, for not listening to your argument. Do you understand?
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Klotz, who had the Commanders at number one because they made the most transactions.
Why are the Broncos
in the
on
NFL.
my list then? If it was the most transactions,
I don't know. It's just inconsistent. That's all.
It's did they do what they needed to do to get better? Did they take a step forward, like you said? And I think all those teams did.
And they did. Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's inconsistent. Your point for number one for the Commanders is they made they had the most transactions and maintaining players, and they made the most moves. But the Rams but then you're saying with the Broncos, they made the right moves, even though it was one or two or three, they made the right moves. And it's like, okay, then why aren't the Rams on your list? Because they made the right moves to maintain and kind of keep stepping forward as well. So it's just like there's that's all.
And I could see the Rams and Broncos swapping out, but like we all said, 4 through 8, very subjective. You could swap them out wherever. But again, like I said, it's not like the Commanders I'm putting up there because they just made a shit ton of moves. If you look at the moves they made with the money they had available to spend, they didn't overspend for one person, and they made a shit ton, the most meaningful moves out of the NFL. So when I look at where they were last year, they make the most meaningful moves. They don't lose a single coach. They get better. They keep key veterans that a lot of people thought were going to retire. Yeah, they're my number one. And then I'll listen to everything else. Like, I don't think they're a runaway number one. The Bears are very close. But the Commanders, like, they killed this offseason. They added by far through free agency the most talented players out of anybody else.
But the Rams are better.
The Rams are better, yes.
Okay. But they weren't last year. But the moves they made make them better. Okay.
It makes the Commanders a better team than what they were last year. Absolutely.
But the Rams,
the Lions? Probably no.
The logic right doesn't make.
So, but the Lions, like, no, it's what these teams did. I'm not looking at any other teams as far as, oh, well, the Commanders did this and the Lions. I'm looking at what the Commanders did. Do I like it? Do I love it? Do I hate it? I love it. Look at what the Bears did. Love what they did. Who do I like more between the Bears and the Commanders? The Commanders, because they made more meaningful moves. Doesn't mean that the Bears didn't. The Bears were very close. They hired the best head coaching candidate. They're trying to protect Caleb Williams. Add the defensive line. Go to the Patriots. Added the second best head coach candidate. Added a shit ton of meaningful signings, but they overspent. So that's that they weren't my top 3. I think when you look at that Milton Williams contract, that could definitely end up biting them in the ass. Harold Landry's not the player he once was, and he didn't sign cheap. And Carlton Davis gets hurt all the time, and they signed him to a lot of money. So they overspent, but they made a lot of great moves. But then you look at the Vikings. The Vikings are probably going to have a top 5 offensive line in football last year. That wasn't the case. And they got a rookie quarterback. The move was inevitable. So, no, I don't think it's inconsistent at all. The Rams would be right there. They're probably at like the 6-7 spot. I think the Rams and Raiders are probably my next 2 teams.
Yeah. Well, I have some super chats I want to get to. Terrell from FL, he says not sure if it's been mentioned yet, but JJ has quite a bit of pressure on him. Yeah, he definitely does. Mike Reed, appreciate it. Thank you for the $5 though, Terrell, my guy. Mike Reed, thank you. Member for 11 months. Let's go, getting closer to a year. That's huge. Mike Reed, you're the man for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, we all right, let's just get to this. This segment is a disaster. All right, let's get to this mock draft. Charles Davis, NFL.com, came out with his mock for this draft. It came out today, actually. Charles Davis. Charles Davis, I think he had last time the Lions picked, I think if I remember, it was Donovan Jackson, I'm pretty sure. I want to say Donovan Jackson or Josh Simmons. Might have been Donovan Jackson.
It was Donovan Jackson.
Yeah, we talked about it. So today we'll go through his mock today. It's Thursday, so we'll go through a national mock, see what they have. What do we think of it? So let's start. Charles Davis. Wow, the great Charles Davis has Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders is the number 1 and 2 pick.
That two picks should be so interesting.
Yep. Just letting Klotzy take it in for a second.
This is Charles Davis, okay? Probably him and Bucky Brooks are up there every year for the most sporadic mock drafts around. Charles Davis and Bucky Brooks. Hey, but your king, Charles Davis, takes your king
okay, all
right, to the magic land of Cleveland.
Charles, the voice of Madden, Charles Davis. 3, Abdul Carter. Giants are happy with that one. You get Abdul Carter, even though it doesn't make a ton of sense because they have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, but he's the best player
available. Yeah.
New England, Travis Hunter. They were just talking about that, so they get Travis Hunter. 5, Membu to the Jags. Okay. Interesting. Raiders, Ashton Gentry. What's up with Tyler Warren to the Jets? I keep seeing this, man. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I don't get it.
I mean, they really don't have a tight end right now. They let Kant go.
That means you take one at
another
7.
weapon. It's just another weapon, though.
Justin Fields.
You don't take a tight end at 7.
Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Warren.
I agree with you. You don't take it, but as far as what they need, their defense is very solid. They could take a corner here, like Will Johnson would be the better pick, but I don't like tight ends in the top 10, but it happens. Like it happens probably once every 3 years. And we saw it with TJ Hawkinson. We saw it with Kyle Pitts. Somehow Brock Bowers didn't go top 10, which makes no sense. But I mean, Tyler Warren, he's probably going to go top 10. He's going to go 7, 8, and or 9.
8, Mason Graham. They get a steal. Absolute steal. 9, Will Campbell to the Saints. Great pick. Bears take Jalen Walker. They get an edge. 11, Mike Green to the 49ers. That's a good pick. Cowboys take T-Mac, first wide receiver. I guess Travis Hunter, but other than that, first wide receiver off the board. Second, whatever, if you want to say Travis Hunter. But they get T-Mac. Will Johnson to the Dolphins. 14, Colts take Loveland.
I would lose my mind if I was a Colts fan.
Yeah, and I like Colson Loveland. I really do. 14. They need to take like Jade Barron or something. Atlanta Falcons, Michael Williams. 6, Calvin Banks to the Cardinals. Okay, I mean, those are pretty good picks. Bengals take Kenneth Grant. Yeah, Jade Barron to the Seahawks at 18. Take another corner. Bucks take Jahad Campbell. That's a great pick. Broncos, Amarion Hampton.
Good pick.
And then 21, Jackson Dart to the Steelers.
Boone. It's inevitable, Boone.
It's probably going to happen.
Yeah. I think I kind of like the pick. I think he's better. He'll be better than Kenny Pickett in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
no
it's
doubt.
not. I wouldn't say it's the same. But 22, Matthew Golden to the Chargers. That's a really good pick for them.
Nasty. Him, Herbert, Ladd.
Packers take Derek Harmon. Vikings take Malachi Starks.
That's what I hope does.
At 24. And then 25,
Booker.
Tyler Booker to the Texans. They need a guard, and they get Tyler Booker. Donovan Jackson to the Rams. It's a good pick. And then 27, Shamar Stewart to the Ravens. Oh, Lions fans, you got close. You got close to Shamar. And then at 28, the Detroit Lions. With the day, it's just
Who do they take?
they decide to take James Pierce Jr. Here we go. Another one with James Pierce Jr.
It's gonna happen.
There's too many that are predicting this. It has to happen. I mean, this is like the 5th mock we've seen with James Pierce Jr. I mean, it's just the guy just make him a Lion already. I mean, this is like the 3rd or 4th time we're seeing this. It's like there's no one else. It's James Pierce. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think this is a great pick. I don't care what anyone thinks. You get James Pierce Jr., everyone's excited. And if they take him, then fans can't say, well, he's got off the field issues, because the Lions literally just took him. So everything you're going to say about Brad and like the Lions took him. So if Brad thinks it's not a big deal, you shouldn't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal regardless. I think James Pierce Jr. is going to be a really good player. But he called him an athletic marvel at the NFL scouting combine. An athletic specimen. The 6'5", 250 pass rusher out of Tennessee. Pick 6 last year, 7.5 sacks.
Bro's gooning right now.
Oh, I love James Pierce, man. He's going to be so good. So that's an excellent pick by Mr. Charles Davis. 29, Emeka Ibuka to the Commanders. And then 30, Maxwell Hairston. Oh, there you go.
Corner.
Caleb's doing jumping jacks right now. Seeing he's going first.
And then Chiefs take Josh Simmons, and the Eagles take Nick Imanawari.
So far, he fallen. So far.
If the Lions land James Pierce Jr., especially at 28, they win the draft. I think another team that could make that argument is maybe the Jets, or not the Jets. Who fell to Mason Graham? Was it the Panthers?
Yeah.
At 8, that's probably one that you could say they won the draft. But if you land James Pierce at 28, Detroit's going to erupt. And and then if you are able to add another defensive end through free agency after, that's reshaping and retooling this defensive front for the next 4 to 5 years. I don't see a world where James Pierce is a bust. Like, I really don't. Does he have to live up to people saying, like, when you bring it up and you look at like the elite pass rushers in the NFL, he might not be that. Maybe that's the case, but you're going to get at least a guy on the other side of the football of Aiden Hutchinson that can win one-on-ones, that brings a different look, that isn't just a straight power rusher, that's a true threat at tracking down mobile quarterbacks. So if they land him at 28, you can shut down the draft. The Lions have won it. Move on. I don't care about Tennessee taking Cam Ward number 1 overall. That's what they got to do. The value at James Pierce with 28 is crazy. I don't think you can beat it.
Just trying to think. He's probably like a top 1, 2, probably a top 3, 4 edge in the class. You got him at 28.
Without a doubt, probably a top 5 defensive player. Maybe not top 5 because he's probably like a top 7 because Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, that's top 3.
Yeah, you got your boy
Will Johnson there. But he's in that bubble. Like, he's one of the elite guys that's a first-round graded player in this draft. There's a lot of talk that this draft only has a handful of true first-round grades. James Pierce is that grade-wise. It's the off-the-field issues that now people are talking about. Nothing to do with the talent.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a world where Brad passes on him because of that.
There is, absolutely.
There's absolutely a world. Yeah, there.
Drafts the offensive lineman, safety.
I mean, Josh Simmons is here, Klotzy. Would you take Josh Simmons or James Pierce Jr.?
James Pierce Jr., just because it's an immediate need. But if they take Josh Simmons, I'll be like, all right, like there could have been worse picks there. If that's like when we were talking yesterday, like if Nick Scorton's the first overall pick, and obviously this draft isn't going to be, this mock draft isn't what it's like going to truly look like. But if that falls into a situation where those type of players start falling, and you tell me as a Lions fan, hey, here's Nick Scorton, yeah, I'm going to be upset. Second round? No, but that's why the conversation yesterday was like perfect fit in the first round. Hell no.
Hey,
pass.
say hell no to this prospect you got today, man. He's a this guy's
Interesting one.
special. This dude,
Interesting
you sent me the name, and I looked at it, and I said, who? And I had to look him up. They called him the Butcher. I don't know why.
What a nickname.
They call him the Butcher. So Klotzy, talk to me about who you brought to the table today, huh?
Time to talk about the Butcher. Cayman Rutgers, fellas. Rucker, not Rutgers. 6'2", 265. This year he had 6 sacks and 1 interception in 8 games. He had an injury that was pretty much a copy and clone of what happened to Derek Barnes, where it was a cheap chop block that went way too low, messed up his leg. He broke his fibula, I believe. But again, didn't tear a tendon, so broken bone. It's going to cause him to fall in the draft, but it's not something that I'm worried about him recovering from. But guys, this man brings you a different look. Jeff, I sent you some highlights in Slack if you want to throw them up during this. But this is exactly, he's going to be a day 3 guy, okay? He's probably going to be an early day 3 guy. If somebody loves him at the GM spot and takes him 3rd round, maybe I can see that happening, but I don't think he goes in the first 2 rounds. This is going to be a depth piece, but this is somebody that just gets after the quarterback. When you think of Cayman Rucker, don't think about stopping the run. Don't, okay? Because he can do it from time to time, but just watch the burst. Watch how athletic he is, and watch how violent this man plays. He's by offensive lineman.
Oh, my God.
And he has multiple games where he has 2, 3 sacks, and he won't go back against, I believe it was Miami this year. Could have been last year. 5.5 tackles for loss. His natural athleticism gives him a ton of versatility as far as where you can line him up. When I look at Cayman Rucker in the late half of the draft, this is what they want. This is what you want James Houston to be, because he's getting an interception there. Jeff, if you want to just keep pulling everything up, because they're very similar in tape as far as what he brings. You're not going to see this guy go up against Ariante Ursi and cook him. But when you look at what he can do translating to the NFL, he is no doubt somebody that you can pin in this defensive line. Say, Aiden Hutchinson starting. Behind you, Marcus Davenport. Behind you, AQM and Cayman Rucker. Because if you put those 2 on the field, doesn't have to be at the same time, but they're elite pass rush. Against South Carolina, Spencer Rattler last year, SEC defenses. He's on the edge here. This is something that you can do in the NFL. Like, if you're able to blow up an offensive tackle after getting chipped by a running back like this, with how athletic he is, with the frame that he has, he's at least going to be a good depth piece. And I think if you get with Casey Rogers, Aiden Hutchinson, this front 7 group, he's going to be somebody that, again, it's not going to come in week 1 and be like, oh, here we go. But you talk about year 3, what he can be in year 3 if he works out. Very high upside here as far as a pass rusher. I don't think he's ever going to be dominant as far as getting to the run, but we've been begging in Detroit for somebody that can get to the quarterback. And when he got to the quarterback 6 times this year, but last year, no injuries, 9 sacks, 61 tackles. The year before that, he had 4, and he had 37 tackles, and then 4 the year before. So over the last 4 years, he's had, let's count it out, 15, 20, 24 sacks over the last 4 years. And again, the ACC is not a powerhouse when it comes to offensive linemen. That's a Power 5 conference, and we're going to see defensive ends that are playing in sub-Power 5 conferences that don't have that production. You draft them off of what they can be. But when you look what he is off the field, he has it all. Jason Witten, Man of the Year. He won Man of the Year as far as in college football this year. As good as character as you could possibly want. If the Lions take a look at him, they're going to love the character check. But he's a fluid athlete, just like J-Rod said in the chat. Or it wasn't J-Rod, it was Tyler. And he's somebody that can translate in the NFL and turn into a 5 to 6 sack guy a season. I don't think he'd ever be somebody that you're putting in your starting lineup. But he's going to be somebody that can get after the quarterback, and that's what we need in Detroit. Cayman Rucker, the Butcher. Watch him in like rounds 4 to 5 where he goes. I definitely think he's somebody that this team could use as far as an athlete on the edge. So I love him here. Can bring some versatility, bring somebody in NASCAR. But again, when I look at him, I see James Houston, but I see more upside because of just what he can bring. I don't think there's going to be development, but not as much development with Cayman Rucker. So this is my guy for the week, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Holmes' guy, broken fibula. That's incredible. I mean, he had 6 sacks and 1 pick in 8 games. That's pretty impressive.
Day 3 edge rusher.
He is. If you look at his film against Virginia too, like it's cracked out. And then you watch him against Miami last year and South Carolina, like he puts games together where he was going into the season, he was like one of those guys where you're going to look for defensive end of the year. I can't remember the award, but in college football, he was like somebody to watch out for. Didn't live up to that this season, but the year prior, 2023, if you watch that tape, there's a lot of good tape on Kamen Rucker.
The Jason Witten Man of the Year. What is this again?
He won like the Walter Payton Man of the Year for college football. He won.
Jason
so, like,
Witten is that guy?
Yep. You don't have to worry about anything off the field with him.
High character,
high motor. As far as film goes, like his film, as far as like he puts balls to the wall at all time, and sometimes that runs him into trouble because he is so athletic. He'll get ahead of himself, lose contain, allow the quarterback to step up. But the motor on him, again, he's going to be somebody that if you put with Casey Rogers, Aiden Hutchinson, this front seven group, year 3, year 4, he can give you a season where when he's fighting for that contract, okay, here comes Kamen Rucker out of nowhere, giving you 6 or 7 sacks, helping you get to a Super Bowl. So he's not going to be somebody impact day one, but give it a year or two, and I think he can be something for sure because his motor, his work ethic, and the talent is all there. He's just not the biggest guy, and he's not the best against the run.
Yeah, not a great run defender, but he has an 18.6 pass rush win rate. So he's 20 hurries on the year, lines up outside the tackle. He's 6'2", like you said, but he makes it count.
Just an athlete. And there's nobody on North Carolina's defensive line or defense in general that's going to like help him out. Like he was the guy that was getting game plan for, you know what I mean? So they're focusing on him. They don't have a Kenneth Grant. They don't have somebody in the middle that's just game wrecking, a Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon. Again, I don't think he should go in day 1 or day 2, but beginning of day 3, round 4, round 5, great value there.
Lions got a lot of late picks.
Add them to the list.
And the line, I mean, how many Klotz guys are Brad? Do you think Brad watches the Klotz Here's a Guy segment? You think he's
hopefully we can send it in. We'll send some film. Send it to Sheila.
He's like Kamen Rucker. Talking to his scouts. Listen, Klotz has a new guy. Kamen Rucker, get on it. Start looking into his tape. Guy, I mean, the butcher. Bendability. I love the word. I know.
That's an Iafrate word.
Yeah. No, that's good work. That's
very
good
smart
work,
too. I didn't touch on that football IQ. Very smart. Like when you look up like interviews or people like his teammates talking, like he's the smartest person on the field. Like his awareness, as far as like on that interception that he had, like they would drop him into coverage because they're so focused on him getting to the quarterback that they send pressure from the other side and they trust him to drop into coverage with tight end and slot wide receivers just because he has a great feel on the game. So again, like high upside here, fellas.
Jeez, this guy. 40 Gumble says Kamen Rucker's a good name. Sounds like a dangerous player.
Come on now.
Sounds like a point guard.
Yeah, he sounds like a hooper, man. I mean,
he's a baller, boys.
Yeah, I like it. Good stuff, Klotz. He Kamen Rucker. Never heard of that one. I'm gonna be honest. I've never heard of that one.
Learned some ball today, eh?
Yeah,
I didn't know who he was before today either. I was like, all right, who's this guy? And I watched the tape. I was like, this guy's got some fucking juice.
Yeah, juice. No, he's got juice, man. He does. Malik says he'd be a stud opposite of Hutch. Yeah, I mean, you got people that they're supporting the Kamen Rucker. I mean, this is
again, that's like I would picture him to like by year 2, look how like AQM looked this year. Year 3, take a step forward. Year 4, hopefully you can earn yourself another contract, but no guarantees because there's a lot of money to throw around with this team.
Well, Malik says my crazy take, Kamen Rucker could have been a top 10 edge rusher in this class had he not missed time with injury.
That's like, again, that was the talk going into the season.
Because he had 6 sacks in 8 games. Like if he played 12-13, he probably had 10, 11, 12 sacks.
Yeah, but the thing when you look at the sack numbers is 3 of those sacks came in one game. And it was also the game that he had in the interception. So that's why there's probably GMs looking at that. Again, like that tape's fucking amazing. Like if you can pull the Virginia tape, the Miami tape, the South Carolina tape consistently out of Kamen Rucker, then you found yourself a gem. But can you do that? That's the question. Because if he's not doing it consistently against the ACC, throw him in the NFC North. You look at the Vikings move, the Bears move. Packers didn't do shit this free agency, probably the worst free agency out of any NFL team. But it's going to be tough for him just to go in there and consistently win one-on-ones.
Interesting. I like it. Good stuff, Klotzy. That's a good job.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I like
Appreciate it, Boom. Appreciate it,
Kamen Rucker.
Butcher.
Yeah, let's remember the name. Remember the name.
Come on now.
Oh, well, we got about 10 minutes. So I wanted to bring this up a couple days ago, but I didn't. We just had a lot of things we were discussing, so I didn't end up getting to it. But the Pistons, Cade's actually going to miss another game, calf contusion.
It's a problem.
tough.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, it's
Versus
but
the Cavs.
yeah, it stinks. But Cade Cunningham, he's having a hell of a season. Most improved player, favorites to win that. Which I don't understand the most improved player award. Never will. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But
For
I'll
Cade
take-
this year, you're saying in general?
just in general, like it just like I don't know. Like if a player averages 8 points and then the next year averages 16, they'll go with a guy that went from 22 to 27. It's like I feel like the 8 to 16 would be like the most improved. Like
Yeah.
he went from literally a role player to, you know what I mean? I don't know. Regardless, I'm happy. Cade, you know what? It's revenge for not getting Rookie of the Year, so I'm happy with it. He'll get most improved player probably. But where does he rank amongst players? I was thinking about this because I'm going through in my head top 10 NBA players in the league right now. And you have to mention guys like, of course, Giannis, Jokic, Luka,
SGA.
LeBron, SGA. Yep, SGA is playing. He's MVP to me right now, no doubt. But there's a lot of good players. Is Cade Cunningham a top 10 NBA player?
Oh man.
That's tough. I'm gonna try to write down list in no order.
Because
I don't know about top 10. Maybe top 15 is fair.
He's getting there. Like you're seeing top 10 moments from him, but I still think he's right on the outside. Because let's just name him.
SGA, Giannis.
SGA,
that's two.
Giannis, Luka, Jokic, AD. I'm taking over him. I know he's hurt, but I'm just saying like AD is his top 10 player in the NBA still. Would you take him or Ant?
I'll take
right
Cade.
now, take Cade, but you think that right now you think he's done enough to pass Ant? Because I think Ant after last year above. Do you think he's done enough to pass?
I think Ant, you might be able to give it. Ant. So where are we at? How many are we at?
We're at 5 now. So let's go Jason Tatum too. Let's think. Steph, obviously. KD, Booker.
Now we're getting
Nate.
into some tricky. See,
Yeah,
Jason
now
Tate. Did you say Tatum?
this is why,
Tatum.
boys, he is a top 10 player.
Okay.
He's 4th in assists. He's 9th in points. He's shooting good percentages. Look
Yeah.
great. He's the best player on a playoff team. Like best player. Like this isn't like he's got another guy averaging 20. Like the best player by far. Like I think with stats, like if you want to go to stats, go to stats. Like he's up there in assists, triple doubles, efficiency, and then you want to go to what actually happens, which is like leading a team not only to the playoffs but a top 4 or 5 seed in the East. He'll make an all-NBA team. He's a top 10 NBA player. He's an all-star. He should be on an all-NBA team the way he's playing.
He will be. Like there's
But, like-
zero chance he's not on an all NBA team.
But- To me, boys, he's top 10. And I think the players that are around 10, you can argue, but I would argue Cade's having not only a career year, but an excellent year. So I think he's earned it. I think he is a top 10 NBA player right now. I do.
I think the fact too that he's only 23 years old and he's already considered like you can make an argument for top 10. Like going into next year, like he's only going to get better, and it's like he's only going to go into the top 7 to the top 5. Like I saw Draymond say it the other day that he believes that he's going to take the Pistons to he's going to lead the Pistons to a championship. And for like a player to say that about the Pistons right now, like you have to be top 10. Like if there's another champions being like he can lead this team to a championship on his own essentially, then you're top 10. There's very few players in the NBA who can do that.
Yeah. Like even, I mean, sick argument. You brought up Giannis, LeBron, Tatum, Brunson, Tyrese, Donovan, Luka, Jokic, Tyrese, and 5 others all getting picked on the USA team over Cade. Like I think that's ridiculous.
I think next time it won't be. It's going to be Cade. Like Cade's in it. Like he's in the Olympics next time.
Like I would take, like if you look at the top 10, I'm looking at now an actual list. Like you go through, you already said Shea, Giannis, Jokic, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, KD. Now we're getting into like Jalen Brunson, Devin
Luka.
Booker, Tyrese
Yeah.
Maxey, like
Are
LeBron.
you're talking about USA team? Okay.
No, I'm talking about top 10 players.
Oh, top 10?
Okay. LeBron's in there. That's 7. Steph, I think, of course, in there. Donovan.
KD.
I included KD.
Okay.
Did you say Tyrese
No, he didn't.
Maxey?
But
He
like
was bringing up names that were on the list.
like,
okay.
Tatum.
the
Tatum
guys that
has
are having like
Big
top
years.
10 years
Yeah.
this year. Like Tyrese is averaging 26 a game. Like, you know, like guys that are balling out. I don't think he's top 10. But my point is we got 8 or 9.
It's
Okay.
fringe, yeah.
He's right there. I mean, he's right there. I would take Cade right now over Jalen Brunson. I would take Cade right now over Devin Booker. And I love Devin Booker. He's my favorite NBA player. But besides Cade and LeBron. but I would take Cade over Devin. I would right now. I think Cade can do. He's obviously they're about the same size. I mean, Devin's like 6'5", he's 6'6". Cade's a better playmaker. When you look at what he's doing from three, shooting 35.5% from three, shooting well from three, 46% from the field. I mean, like on 6 attempts, he's giving you almost a double-double. I mean, almost 26 and 10. I mean, he's balling out, dude.
He's shooting well. Like
he's got 30 double-doubles on the year, 30 and 9 triple-doubles. So
yeah, I can't hate. I still think he's on the fringe, Hefe, but obviously Cade your guy, and if I'd probably put him at like 12. You know what I mean? Maybe 11. So if you're gonna take him, I'm not gonna fight you on it too hard. I just think not that it's not going to happen, but I want to see this playoff run from Cade Cunningham because honestly, that's where legacies are built. It's like in those big moments. Not saying he can't do it. I'm saying let's see him in this playoff because then if he goes out there and he balls in this playoff, wins a series, I understand that he's not going to take him to the Eastern Conference Finals. But like if he has a good, like I would still put Booker ahead of Cade right now. If he goes out there and balls out in the playoff, you go ahead of Booker, you go ahead of Ant, like the guys that are like on that fringe. If he goes out there and knocks shit down in the fucking playoffs, like that's where it's like, okay, he's top 10. Not saying he doesn't have the potential, but this is like the first breakout year from Cade, if that makes sense. And you've been following Cade very hard, so you know what he's going to be. But again, for like me, it's not that I don't respect Cade. It's just again, I want to see a little bit more.
You're just a sheep.
A sheep. My fuck. All right. Don't go this route on it.
You're a sheep.
I said he's 12 right now instead of 10. Let him have a good playoff run. He'll go inside that top 10.
Are there anyone in that top 10 though that hasn't like had a playoff run yet?
What do you mean? No,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like they've all proven moments in the playoffs. That's why I want to see Cade do that same type of thing. Like if you go through that top 10, like Booker's had playoff.
Yeah, Booker went to the finals. I'm thinking of guys like SGA and Anthony Edwards. Like they've been in the playoffs, they've won a series, but like have they had those moments where they've gone to the finals?
I mean, if
you're
you're looking at SGA,
10.
I think SGA right now is objectively better than Cade. And Cade are
close. I'm just giving an example of. I'm giving an example off your point. Like, does the playoffs really matter if you're just that good? Like, you're good. Like, he's on a better SGA. He's just on a better team with some better guys surrounding him right now. I know in the
Victor Wembanyama, like he's up there too, and he hasn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything in the playoffs, but he's probably a top 7 player in the NBA. Like, he's just that good where you have to be like, yeah, he's there. And that's where I'm like with Cade. It's like. Yeah, but like just because he hasn't played in the playoffs yet, like dude, like the way he's playing, you have to give him top 10. Like, and I think he is top 10 in MVP voting, which essentially would. And if he's all on an All NBA team, essentially it'd be top 10, right? Like how many people are on All NBA?
Thank you for the $5. He makes a great point. Top 10 in MVP voting. Does that make him a top 10 player? He's top 10, fellas. Cade in the playoffs will be an absolute movie because his game translates, Klotzy. You know what? I'm disappointed in you, Klotz, because you're the king of this. You're the king of seeing through the ball nowhere glasses projection. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at Cade. I'm saying, yeah, the playoffs. Oh, yeah, cute. I already know he's going to ball. Game translates. He plays at a very smooth pace. Okay, the pace he plays at, the playoffs slow down. You don't get the calls. Oh, yeah, he doesn't get calls. And yeah, he plays at a great pace already. He doesn't fly down the court up and down. He's not this athletic freak like Russell Westbrook. Moves slow, methodical. Double doubles, efficient, gets a shot, 3-level scorer.
And Hefe, what you're saying is correct, but we've seen even more talented players like James Harden, Paul George. We can keep going down the list. There's
playoff
Tracy McGrady, like playoff. Like there's these players that are so fucking good, but sometimes, and I'm not saying this is going to be the case. That's why I'm saying I'm not going to crown him top 10 yet. There's players in the playoffs that shrink. Again, that's not going to be Cade. I don't think it's going to be, but you can see players sometimes rise to the occasion. Sometimes players stay a little bit below what they normally are. And I just want to see a playoff run out of Cade. If he goes out there and fucking balls, absolutely. But that's at the end of the day what we're going to judge players for career long. Like nobody's going to bring up Tracy McGrady's best of all time. He's one of the most talented players of all time. Dude couldn't win a fucking playoff series. What's the biggest knock on like Charles Barkley stopping him? No ring. He was on great teams.
You're playing the Shaq role. You're playing the Shaq role right now.
No, it's not that at all. It's just
Chuck.
I think.
Where the ring at, Chuck?
We're seeing a player that's having a great season right now, and we already crowned him top 10, and you look at the names that are in that top 10 and they're close, it's pulling away from their game because of what we've seen this year. And I think there's still a lot more to see this year. The most important part of the season is a month away. And that's where you really get to judge the players, because if you go out there and you have, what are Cade's stats right now? Read them off, FA. If you go and have that, and then you take a shit in the playoffs, like, you ain't no top 10 player. Like, you very well are on your way to be, but not yet.
I think you could be a top 10 player and not be good in the playoffs. Being a top 10 player isn't winning. It's how good of a player are you? Like,
but if you're good in the regular season, you're not good in the playoffs. What good is it?
yeah, but you could still be good. Like
nowhere.
the Jay Hart just put in the chat, like James Harden. Like James Harden has won nothing, but there was a point where he kept winning MVP, and you're like, this is one of the best players in the league. He's top 5 right now.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be like he
he was the best player in the league. If you wanted to win an NBA final, are you taking James Harden first overall?
So you're top 10 players in the league. James Harden through that stretch in Houston was absolutely a top 5 player.
He was, but you weren't putting it, like, he could have been 1, but why weren't you putting him 1? He's winning MVP. You're not going to say he's the best player.
We're not talking about the best player, though. We're talking about top 10.
Top 10.
Like, you're talking about a guy who's winning MVPs.
Where there's different tiers with it. Like, James Harden was a top 5 player. You weren't putting him 1. Why? Because there was players that were equally as talented, but they were winning more. Right now, the situation with Cade, top 10, there's players that are very similar talented-wise, but they've won more. Not saying that Cade can't, but he's having a great season. I'm not denying that Cade is not having a great season on his way to a top 10 player. I'm just not ready to crown him just yet.
Sorry, hey, Klotzy. He's in the Matrix. It's fine.
I wholeheartedly believe he will be a top 10 player in the NBA one day. Could even be after this year.
Thank goodness, Klotzy.
Cade Cunningham fucking sucks.
Yeah,
I think he's terrible. Like he's a poor man's. Would be a good comp for him.
Poor man's LeBron James. That's his game.
Yeah, poor man's Ben Simmons.
Cade's gonna take over the league, man. He's gonna be an MVP one day.
Has he done it yet? No.
I project,
and I support it, Hefe. I support it.
This I'm not projecting. He's top 10 right now, but all the other stuff I'm projecting. Okay. Let's see. Sick argument. Let me make a strong point about Cade. Jamal Murray. It's not that hard to argue that Jamal Murray is every bit as valuable on the court as Cade on that team.
Yeah, I'm not gonna see. I'm not saying all this, Hefe. I'm not saying all this.
He's valuable, Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Has a championship.
Yeah.
Well, to Klotzy's point, he's top 10 because he won as well.
No, because he's not near the talent. Like, I'm not saying they just need to win. When you're looking at similar talented players, if you win in the playoffs more, again, I'm not saying that Cade can't. We haven't seen Cade in the playoffs. I'm going to take the guy that's very similar talented and wins more in the playoffs every time.
Yeah, give Cade Jokic, see what happens.
He's going to ball.
He's going to ball. He might win every chip till he retires. This guy he's different. Okay, he's a special player. He might ring off 6 of them things, man. If you give him Yoke,
I wouldn't deny that. He's better than Jamal Murray. Like, I'm not saying that.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. But to Sick's argument, like he says, the war stuff, like wins above replacement, all this stuff. Like Jamal Murray's valuable. He's a big shot maker in the playoffs, man. He hits key shots, big shots, on the way to win the chip that he did. I think Cade's going to not only do that, but also have the type of impact that top 10 players do, which is like take over ball games. Like Jaden Ivey went down and he's just like, okay, like I'll just have to do more, I guess. He's just doing more. Like that's crazy, dude. And everyone else is stepping up, of course. Like Asar is being back and playing really well. Jalen Duren stepping up. Isaiah Stewart, by the way, it sucks that like the whole minutes thing and I hate it because defensively, right now, one of the best post defenders in the league. Mm-hmm. It's like the videos prove me wrong. It's like
you're sitting at the stand, you're sitting at the table.
Isaiah Stewart, one of the best post defenders in the league, prove me wrong.
Go park it in Cleveland, fight all the Mobley defenders.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Justin Station says next thing you know they will be trading Cade off. By the way, love stick. That's my guy. At one point, the man even considered trading Cade is one of the worst takes, and I would say it to him. I love him, I do, but that is such a terrible. I get what he was like. Well, I don't get, but
I do understand the topic that was at hand, so I get that. But either way,
he would command more. He was trying. Like I get it, but come on, stick. I mean, we were there. I mean, I was as a Pistons fan, we were Pistons fans
Yeah.
watching the Pistons win the lottery. It's like it was the best day on earth, man. The best day. It was like, dude, we got Cade. Like Cade's a dog, man. He's incredible. He really is. If only they won it when they got Victor. If they would have
I
gotten.
don't think you can have a conversation like, why would a conversation like, who would you rather trade? What would make like you would never trade Cade?
No,
I know Luka got traded, but like in Detroit, like what would be a even reason to even consider or think about a trade, Cade Cunningham trade? It's just
yeah. Well,
it'd
and
be-
this is
I don't know.
this is the thing. In the NBA, it's different from the NFL. If you trade a superstar for draft picks, it's the dumbest thing. Like unless he asks out and you have no choice. But if you're just dumping a dude for draft picks, NBA draft picks are not like the NFL. You're not going to find Kirby's and like if you don't have a top 10 pick, it's hard, man. You're not going to have Tyrese Maxey's aren't growing on trees. You know what I mean? It's just not how that usually works. Like you might get a very solid role player. Maybe you hit on like a Giannis or like a
Lou
Jokic, like a Lou Dort. Yeah, but you don't trade guys you don't trade Cade to get a Cade. You know, like it's the dumbest thing. Because you're not going to get Cade. You're going to have to get number one to get a guy like that. Or even a player. I mean, who would you even trade? That's dumb. Like, who would you even trade him? Trade him for? Trade him for, like, Jokic? Like, who? You know?
Damian Lillard, playoff P.
Yeah, playoff P.
One of the worst contracts in NFL NBA history so far. That is straight robbery.
Paul George made me dislike players having podcasts. And Micah Parsons, but then Amon-Ra St. Brown saved it because I love him and his brother do a really good job. But like, what I'm like, dude, why is Paul George?
I've never watched a minute of it. I haven't seen it once.
He's had cool guests on, like he had Melo and stuff. But like, dude, that's where guys are just comfortable being rich as hell and just putting up some points, and you know, like they're just comfortable. You know, like I'm cool.
I would hate to have him on my franchise.
Like I'll just get some buckets, miss a bunch of time, and talk on the pod. You know, that's
Boone at this point in their careers. Who would you rather have, Joel Embiid or Paul George?
Paul George.
Oh,
at least Paul George like is
yeah, that's like a lose-lose, man.
But no, like Paul at least knows like, hey, if I want to win, I probably should stop podcasting. Like if Joel just does the same thing. It's like, dude, you haven't figured out a way to be successful ever. Like you've won an MVP, cool. Like what comes to it, like of it.
Yeah, Joel might be down for the count, man. That injury he has,
he can't.
It might be like career ending. They're like career altering.
Yeah, I would say probably like he'll probably come back, but he's probably peaked for sure.
They have to like break his hip.
Was the peak.
They have to like break his hip to like lower. It's like some like
they like screwed him over.
Yeah,
so
they
bad.
screwed him, man. And he already deals with injuries enough, so it's terrible. Coda says his podcast has too many ads for me. I never watched it.
Never watched. I don't even know.
Yeah. Baldwin Life says I don't care about trade value. There's a tier of players you don't just trade. Yeah. Coda says Jokic at the end of round 2. Yeah, Jokic was a second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say. Yep, and then Giannis was top. He was like 15th.
Yeah,
so, but like that, you don't get those dudes, man. You just don't. Rare. It's very rare. Oh yeah. Malik says, remember every human on 97.1 asking to trade Scooble?
Everyone wanted to. You don't trade your best player. I don't care what position you're in. If you're the worst team in the league, you need a building block.
Yeah, he's a building block. I mean, tonight they lost. It was pretty.
They lost. They're down to the stretch. They almost won.
You won money on a home run by Torque.
Torque, yeah, and I bet 2 home run hitters in the game. Ohtani like plus 350 or plus 360. I guess he hit what Caleb texted me that he hit one, and then I had Torque plus 5 or plus 3 or plus 500 or something, and I had like 100% profit boost to plus 1,000.
Come on now, Boone.
Hey, by the way, Broski Bear. My bad, I didn't bring it up earlier.
Shout out.
$4. He says, shout out Jeff Booner and Klotzy, man. You're the man. Thanks, Broski Bear. He did have a comment for us earlier, so appreciate the love. Caleb sent me that 3 home run bet, 3 leg.
Then he told me he put 2 home run bets in today, 2 3-leg ones. He said he went 0 for 6 in home runs today.
Dude,
and
Oh, no.
there was probably like 150 guys who hit a home run today. He didn't get one of them.
No, the one he sent me, all 3 missed, and I
What's
love
cra-
it.
what's
But
crazy
I'm
is
not mad. It is what it is. I don't care.
I bet 6 single home run hitters today. I bet Spencer Torkelson plus 1,000, Shohei Ohtani like plus 360, Bryce Harper like plus 4 or 500, Tyler O'Neill plus 360, and then the fifth one was Aaron Judge plus 200, 4 for 5,
Come on now.
all single bets.
Dude.
I literally only bet 5 home run hitters today, single bets. 4
Intuition
of them
mode.
out of the 5. I don't know what it was. It was just Tyler O'Neill has hit in an opening days. He hits 6 straight home runs. 6 straight opening days. He's hit a home run. That's like unheard of.
You got to help Caleb. He needs it.
I text
probably
Caleb the
just
3 home
overthinks
run
it.
hitters. I said, take these 3 guys. I'm taking them single bets. And he's like, I
You
texted him after.
didn't text me.
We were talking about ball. We were talking baseball. And I texted him. I said, hey, I got these guys. I didn't know you wanted to bet baseball. You have to be vocal on that.
No, I wasn't vocal. I wasn't. We'll be
had
back
no clue.
tomorrow. By the way, speaking to Caleb, he'll be joining us tomorrow. But until then, appreciate you all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the support. And we will catch you guys tomorrow. But until then, see you.